Oh, well, good evening there. I almost didn't see you. I was brushing up on my understanding of Genesis 12:3 to see whether Ted Cruz and Rob McCoy would still like me at the end of this program, but I've got bad news for them. Hey, guys, welcome in. Welcome in. It's going to be a big show. We have so much to cover today. I have, because it's a weekend, I don't know. I probably have 5 shows worth of stuff to do tonight. And we're going to get through as much of it as we possibly can. I cannot guarantee you we will get through everything that I had intended to get through. But if not, you know what? In a couple of days, we'll do it again. I've got a birthday coming up this week. Yes, I'm getting older. So in honor of the birthday, I may change the day I do it this week, depending on what day works best to go celebrate another spin around the sun. But guys, I want to thank you so much for spending your time with me. It's been an unbelievable blessing, the time I get to spend with you guys. An unbelievable blessing. I just jumped on about 5 minutes before we went live, and I saw people guessing at the color of the hoodie. It's red today. And it's red in honor, not only my mood with respect to some of this news, it's red in honor of the Indiana Hoosiers going to the Big Ten championship game, capping off an undefeated season. So that is a spectacular day in the Coleman household. But welcome to the Real Baron Podcast, Baron Coleman Podcast, Baron Coleman Show. I've heard it referred to a zillion different ways by other podcasters and shows. So, but welcome in. When you come in, don't forget to hit the like button. That pushes us to the front of the YouTube algorithm and gives us a little more exposure. Don't forget to subscribe so that you know when we've done a show. You get jump on and you get to see it. And don't forget to click notifications so you know when we go live. But I want to jump right into it. I can't help it. This monologue's a little dark. It's a little dark. But so is my mood in light of some of the things we're going to cover because, as you can see from the headline, there's some heavy material today. Some very, very, very heavy material today. So let me jump right into the monologue, and when I get done with it, we will jump right into the topics. The monologue might seem a little disconnected. It is not. It is not. Since the end of World War II, the United States has stood alone in the West as the sole superpower. The United States dollar has reigned supreme as the required currency for global trade. The standard of living in the United States has skyrocketed. Just a few generations ago, even much of what would have been considered at the time solidly middle-class families had dirt floors. They drank water that was at best a little cloudy. At worst, sometimes it looked a little rusty. That all changed, starting with the birth of the baby boomers, and it rapidly changed. Soon, middle-class families had wall-to-wall carpet. Their water ran pristinely clear. Their dollar commanded a better and better quality of life. Nearly every driveway had at least one car. Clothes went from homemade to designer label. College went from a luxury for the very wealthiest children to a modest expectation for more than half of all children. Today, even the poorest people in America are significantly obese. Such is the excess caloric availability here in the United States. Nearly everyone has a smartphone or a flat-screen TV with internet access. There were a few challengers in the East, first the Soviets and then the Chinese. And both were able, for example, to amass nuclear weapons and impressive militaries, for what it's worth. The Chinese seem to be on a little better trajectory than the Soviets were when their empire collapsed. But if you'll remember, few saw at the time a Soviet collapse as imminent when it happened. So who knows what the future holds for the demographically challenged Chinese. And when you're the lone sole superpower in your hemisphere, when no other country's military could ever dream of invading your sovereign territory, a simple question inevitably must be raised. With whom should we ally ourselves? The follow-up question to any answer must be, and why? George Washington advised future Americans in his farewell address upon leaving the presidency that while certain strategic temporary alliances in extreme emergencies might be necessary for the sake of survival, that America should avoid permanent alliances with foreign nations. Washington explained that permanent alliances entangle the signatories in conflicts and rivalries. Political connections with any part of the world, he warned, should be minimal to protect national peace and prosperity. Washington's answer was instead to promote political neutrality abroad, allowing the U.S. instead to focus on its own development. He supported commercial relationships with all nations, viewing those agreements as a way to build wealth in a new country without all the messy political entanglements. It is against that historical backdrop that we must ask ourselves the question raised by Washington's position. With whom should we ally ourselves today? And we must also ask the inevitable follow-up question, and why? Much has been made recently of our, quote, greatest ally over the years, and whether our greatest ally has been a net positive or a net negative to America's international standing over the years. While that subjective determination certainly is debatable, what is not debatable is that America has been nearly in perpetual war since the Korean War broke out in 1950 and ended in 1953. Even that war is not technically over. There are still tens of thousands of American troops stationed in the area. We went right into the Vietnam War in 1955. That lasted through 1975. A few years later, we were neck deep in Central America, in Nicaragua, El Salvador, and Panama. Then the first Gulf War in 1990. Somalia, 1992 to 1995. Bosnia at the same time. Kosovo in 1998 and 99. Afghanistan for 20 years, starting in 2001. Yemen, starting in 2002 and continuing to today. Iraq, starting in 2003. Somalia back again in 2007 and continuing through today. Libya in 2011 through 2019. Syria from 2014 through today. And Ukraine, regardless of how much they lie to you and say we aren't there, we'll count that conflict as lasting from 2022 through today. Recently, we struck deep in the heart of Iran. If you throw in Israel's incursions into Gaza, which we are very much supporting, and Lebanon, you have veritable live war zones currently across much of the Middle East. War drums are also now beating in Venezuela. That looks to take shape in days, not weeks or months. And a larger conflict with Iran is still very much on the table. In that list, I've left out dozens of smaller skirmishes around the globe because it both would have taken too long to identify them all and because it just seems like piling on at a certain point. Americans are tired. Our military is tired. We're tired of paying for it, both in money and blood. We're tired of perpetual war that has lasted more than 75 years now and appears in many ways to be picking up speed rather than slowing down. And I can't help but hearken back to George Washington, our foundingest of the founding fathers, our nation's first president, and his caution about avoiding permanent alliances. How many of these deadly and expensive wars and conflicts could we have avoided if we had heeded his wisdom? Would we have lost millions of lives in combat? Would we have taken millions and millions of more lives around the world? Would any nation have been able to rally sufficient support to float across either or both of the world's two largest oceans and invaded our homeland? What would America look like today? How many families would have been spared the devastation of losing a son or a daughter, or a husband or a wife in combat? What would our global perception be if we weren't known in many countries as the harbingers of death, destruction, and complete devastation everywhere we go? Would anyone bother calling us the Great Satan if we minded our own business and let others work out their differences? It is, of course, only an intellectual exercise. There's no way to wind back the clock and do it all over again. Such is life. We can't do that with the mistakes we make in our own lives, no matter how badly we wish we could call a do-over and live life differently so as to avoid our most horrific mistakes. And we can't do that as a nation or world. Time marches on, as they say. We can, however, learn from our mistakes. We can and hopefully do make that a practice in our own lives. If, for example, you threw away the best years of your life on drugs, booze, or gambling, you can change. And you can live the rest of your life completely differently. And we could, if enough of us truly wanted to, make that a practice in our own country. We can recognize the tens or hundreds of millions of lives or more we have destroyed through perpetual military conflict. And we can insist that our elected and civilian leaders change and do things differently going forward. The change might not be immediate, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't start acting and perhaps more importantly, voting like we want to end this deadly way of conducting our foreign affairs. And with that, I want to turn to a couple of items that are hopefully unrelated to war. Ideally, they're unrelated to war. First, I want to run through some phone calls we now know took place between French President Emmanuel Macron and United States President Donald J. Trump. Second, I want to look through at least 7 more Egyptian planes I found in the United States this year, where they went and when they were here. Finally, I want to follow up on 2 items we touched on in Friday's stream, if you were here. First, I want to follow up with some new information about the medevac plane that ran between Cortez, Colorado, and Blanding, Utah, and also Provo, Utah. I have some really interesting information about that plane. Really interesting information about that plane. It indicates that plane might be much more nefarious than we ever realized. And I want to plug in some information about Mikey McCoy, or Michael McCoy, as we have now been able to solidly confirm he was known before going to work at TPUSA, and his whereabouts after the Charlie Kirk incident. It's weird to me. It's weird to me that you would change your name to a more infantilized version as you got older, but that's Mikey. So first, let's run through some phone calls, place them in the context of when and where they were made, and possibly, or even more probably, why they were made. I don't know any way to say this other than I'm going to put a spreadsheet up on the call on the phone here, on the screen here. And if you have trouble reading it, I guess I could try to blow it up a little bit. You'd let me know if you cannot see that. I guess I could try to make it a little bigger. Let's see. Let me know if you can't see it. There, even a little larger. I might have to go bigger this way, though. Guys, this spreadsheet represents every phone call that is recorded on the calendar of French President Emmanuel Macron involving Donald J. Trump. And these dates are going to be significant as we go through them. You'll recall Donald Trump did not become president of the United States in 2025 until January 20th. So there are no phone calls for the month of January. In February, there are 2 phone calls. One on the morning of February 17th at 9 a.m. And the second phone call, the afternoon. Now, all these times are Washington, D.C. time. I don't know if Donald Trump was in Washington, D.C. when he received these phone calls. But I figure that's a pretty general time for everybody. That's a pretty general time. Like, if he was in Chicago, just subtract an hour. If he was on the West Coast, subtract 3 hours. But this is a good enough basis that we can begin to evaluate when these phone calls were made and why. So there were no descriptions, and I'll show you the phone calls here. I will open up the President of France's calendar here. Let me switch the share, and I'll show you what these look like so that you believe me these calls are here. This is the French president's calendar. Unlike our own president, the most transparent administration in history, the French president actually produces his calendar on a daily basis. And here you can see this first phone call. Oh, that's the second phone call with Donald Trump right there. And here is the first phone call right there. So these phone calls are 5 hours apart. And then immediately following this phone call is a phone call with Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine. And right before this phone call was the guy from UAE. And then before that, a meeting about the families or the situation in Iran. So you get an idea of what he was doing that day. But I will submit to you, this is the only day in the entire year when the president of France had 2 phone calls with Donald Trump on the same day. And I want to place it in context of what was going on, that we know was going on at the time. A week after these phone calls were made, Candace Owens would start getting phone calls, first from Charlie Kirk, second from, was it Don Jr. or Sergio Gore, rather, I think was the second phone call. And then the third phone call was from President Donald Trump himself. I think that was the order. And those phone calls took place about a week after these phone calls. So this gives you an idea that when Emmanuel Macron and Donald J. Trump have phone calls with each other, there is action that's being discussed. There are things taking place. This is one of these two phone calls, or both, I believe, and I firmly believe that we could probably conclude that with relative ease. One or both of these phone calls was the, hey, will you get Candace Owens to shut her mouth? She's talking about my wife's dong, and it's not going over well at home. My wife won't even let me see her dong anymore, as long as Candace Owens is going on about it. You could almost hear Emmanuel having this conversation with Donald Trump, but in a terribly a French accent while he does it. Yes, the old eggplant call. So that gives you an idea of what's going on here in February. So you get these calls between the two, and then lo and behold, the very next week, the phone calls about the dong start going. Then you don't have any calls in March. In April, you have one phone call. This is with the president of Egypt and the king of Jordan, and it says on the calendar, I could pull it up, it's right there, but it says on the calendar that it's about Gaza, about the situation taking place in Gaza. That very well could be. Egypt lies on one side of Gaza, and then on the other side of Israel from Gaza is Jordan. Jordan shares a border with the West Bank, for example, so this is a very logical call. The next call are two calls back to back in June. Now, it's my contention that the planning to eliminate and neutralize Charlie Kirk started about this time, about the middle of June. This is when the very first searches that we were able to identify a long time ago, on several shows ago, 2-3 months ago now. This is when the very first searches started appearing. This was the middle of June, but it was just starting. It didn't really kick up until the middle of July. That's when it really got going. But you could see the beginnings of the plan starting to take place in June. And here you have two phone calls. The first one and the second one, there is no description on the president's agenda, the president of France's agenda. I'll pull that up in a second because I think it's critical that you understand what's taking place here. The first one, there's no description. The second one is a long list of other phone calls around it, but again, no description. But it's interesting to me that on the June 13 phone call, the next two phone calls on his calendar are Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel and Sisi of Egypt. Those are the next two phone calls. Those are the next two phone calls. So you get a phone call with President Trump, and then a phone call, you hang up with Trump, you go immediately to Netanyahu, you hang up with Netanyahu, you go immediately to Sisi of Egypt. Now, there was a lot going on in June. Keep that in mind. I'm not suggesting this is 100% bulletproof evidence that this is when the planning to neutralize Charlie Kirk took place. But I will add, this looks awfully suspicious to me, particularly having two calls back to back in 2 days. But when you look at what else is going on around the world, you have, if you remember, the 12-day war kicking off about this time. This is about the time the 12-day war was kicking off. The president of France, if you look at his calendar, was in Nice, France. He was at a couple of different places doing like state visits. And then he comes home and he's like, okay, I got to deal with this this Iranian nightmare taking place. But I want to pull this up because I want you to see what I saw so that you can put it in context, because even though there are lots of other phone calls that took place on this day, to me, it is significant that these calls took place in this order. That, to me, is significant. So let me share this and let you roll through it with me. You might have to know a little French to get by here, but we can all learn on the fly. So here we have a defense council meeting on the security situation in the Middle East. That's what that means. You've got MBS from Saudi Arabia. That's his first phone call. Then you've got the king of Abdallah of Jordan. You've got the president of the UAE. You've got some bigwig in Qatar. You've got Friedrich Merz, the chancellor of Germany. You've got Keir Starmer from the United Kingdom. So you get all these chumps out of the way. Now let's get to the big hitters. Now let's get to who's really going to solve this. The United States of America and Israel. And I'm a little weirded out by Egypt being right there and Bahrain, but we'll get to those in just a second. If you remember, Israel obviously was one of the ones doing battle with Iran. But the United States was the one who ultimately came in to finish the job off. And Charlie Kirk, if you remember, was in the White House at the time saying, don't do this, Donald Trump. I don't want you to take this. I don't want you taking these actions. Now, Egypt is not on good terms with Iran. Egypt is on very good terms with Israel, for the most part. Not on great terms with Iran. Hasn't been since like 2012 or 2013. You had that Muslim Brotherhood couple of years in Egypt. But outside of that, Egypt and Iran haven't really been on good terms since the Iranian Revolution in 1979. And so it doesn't surprise me that the French president would be talking to, right after Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, he would be talking to the president of Egypt. But then the very next day, the first phone call he makes to anyone is Donald Trump, and then back to Iran, and then you've got Libya and Jordan here. So the French president is taking on this role of peacemaker, is what it looks like. He's sort of bringing everyone to the table. He's the one trying to negotiate some sort of situation. But just think counterfactually with me. If you were going to plan something as crazy as taking out a Candace Owens or a Charlie Kirk, wouldn't you want to do that in the midst of a calendar that looked like this? Wouldn't you want to do that as in the midst of a calendar that looked like this? So then, just so you get an idea of what the rest of his calendar looked like, I can run through this pretty quickly at this point. You get the idea of what the rest of his calendar looked like. They don't talk a whole lot. August 13, he has a video conference with Trump, but it also includes Keir Starmer. It includes the putsy guy from Germany and Zelensky. And then they talked again 2 more times, and these, I think, are substantial because there are no descriptions on these calls. There's no context on the French president's calendar that makes these calls make sense. And the last call took place at 10:45 a.m. Trump time, 10:45 a.m. Eastern time, just 4 hours, give or take, a few minutes before Charlie Kirk would be neutralized at the university, Utah Valley University. That is when their final phone call took place that I could find. And I found no other phone call in October or November. And the only other time they had anything on the calendar was a face-to-face meeting at the UM at the end of September. That's it. That's the last time they spoke on the phone. The morning Charlie Kirk was neutralized. And they had just spoken 6 days before. Was this a go-ahead? Was this the "you're all right with me? You have the all clear"? I don't know. I will say this. I have been hoping this entire time that Donald Trump would have had no idea what was taking place, that Donald Trump would have never been okay with this outcome. But I look at this calendar and I see what happened in February. They had 2 phone calls in a very short period of time, and then immediately there was action to try to get Candace moved off of that particular issue. And the only other time they have back-to-back phone calls like that is June, when the planning kicked off. and September when Charlie Kirk was neutralized. Those are the only two times. And I just have a hard time believing that this call, and I'll pull it up just so you can see it. I don't want anyone to have any doubt of anything I'm saying. I don't want anyone. I have my heart sank when someone shared this phone call with me. I'll say this: I didn't find this; someone sent it to me, but my heart absolutely sank when I saw this, because if you do the math on that, it's a 10-hour time difference right now. I think between Paris and, is that right? Let me check that real quick. 1845. Oh, it's an 8-hour time difference. Yeah, it's an 8-hour time difference. So 6:45 p.m. French time would be 10:45 a.m. Trump time. Now this is before daylight savings changed. So this would have been 10:45 a.m. Trump time, 8:45 a.m. Utah Valley University time. And this is, if you go back to the timeline, and I'm going to pull it up in just a second. I'll show it to you right now. Keep in mind, 8:45 a.m. is the time that I just told you. Someone shared this with me. I hope they don't mind that I'm sharing it live, because if you send something to me, it might end up on the it might end up on the internet here. Someone shared this to me, but that phone call was 8:45. Look what time everything supposedly got kicked off in Utah Valley University. 8:23 a.m. The gray Dodge Challenger shows up in Orem. The gray Dodge Challenger, 6 minutes later, is on campus. And then at 9:57 a.m., he goes walking by the houses. So by 8:45 a.m. Utah Valley time, there would have to be a go-ahead. There would have to be a go-ahead, and if it has any coordination whatsoever with American intelligence, or if it has any coordination whatsoever with the American government, that would be the gate. That's the stop-go. At that point, somebody has to blow the whistle and say, stop it, or they have to say, go for it. We're good. That's the timeline. The timeline didn't make sense to me initially because I thought, well, he wasn't killed for another 4 hours. No, he wasn't, but the team had to get in place. And I'm telling you right now, it wasn't the gray Dodge Challenger alone. I have proof of that. That'll be coming either probably Wednesday. We've been able to basically tie down witness statements at the time that gray Dodge Challenger wasn't alone. And so the team has to get in place by 8:45 or so a.m. Utah time. That's 10:45 East Coast time. That's 6:45 p.m. Paris time. I think this phone call is awfully incriminating, in my opinion. Now, is this irrefutable proof that Donald J. Trump was aware that Charlie Kirk would be killed and that Donald J. Trump gave the go-ahead, the green light to allow it to happen? No, that's not how this program works. That's not how any evidence works. But what we do is we bubble leads to the surface and then let you guys crowdsource run them down. That's what we've always done on this program. But it's hard for me to believe that phone call on September 4th with no detail whatsoever, it was the only phone call with a foreign leader Emmanuel Macron made on September 4th. That was a Thursday. And then the phone call on September 10th, minutes before the gray Dodge Challenger rolls up on campus and the team gets in place to neutralize Charlie Kirk. That is the timeline that these phone calls suggest could be a legitimate possibility. A legitimate possibility. And with that, I'll say, you guys tell me what you can find. You guys are a great resource. You guys are a fantastic resource. Every single time I come across a tip, I mention it on air, and I get loads of emails from people who help me flesh it out. But I will say, I've been down since I saw that. I've been down since I saw that because the timing is just a little too coincidental. Again, considering we know when Donald Trump and Emmanuel Macron had 2 phone calls back to back in February, that's when the pressure was put on Candace Owens to abandon Brigitte's little Macron. And then we get in September, 2 phone calls back to back, including 8 minutes before the Dodge Challenger rolled up on campus. 8 minutes before the Dodge Challenger rolled up on campus. And we know the Dodge Challenger was in the area before that, but it didn't roll up on campus until after the Trump-Macron phone call. That was the first time it was spotted on campus. And I know this is a tough pill for people to swallow. And I'm not saying, again, I don't want to be accusing the President of the United States as being involved in a murder. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is these phone calls should be explained. I would love Donald Trump to give a readout of the phone call. Donald Trump has stopped giving readouts of phone calls. It'd be great if we could get a readout from that phone call from Donald Trump's side. Because if you look on the White House website, I tried to find it. I see no evidence in Donald Trump's schedule. I saw no readout of the phone call. I saw no reference to the phone call. The only media reference I could find to that phone call, believe it or not, the only media reference I could find to that phone call was in Pravda, Russian propaganda state media. That's the only place I could find any reference whatsoever to the Trump-Macron phone call on September 10th. Is that right? Someone said it was 10:45, not 8:45. Same thing. Close enough. All right, I want to get to these 7 new Egyptian, I'm leaving that story, 7 new Egyptian planes showing up. Again, I'm going to do it spreadsheet because if I did this one at a time, like in the tease fashion, it would be just too much. Now, I'll explain to this I'll explain what this means here. I don't have the exact dates. I do have the exact dates on the flights, and I'll show you those flights in a second. I do have the exact dates dug in there, but what I've done is this starts in December 2024. These are the 2 flights that Candace Owens has highlighted as the yellow plane and the blue plane. That's SUBND, SUBTT. That's the blue flight and the yellow flight right down there. These additional 7 flights are flights I've been able to find that hit any one of the airports that she's already identified as relevant. So Provo, Paris, Omaha, Lincoln, Minot. What are some of these other airports we got? But we'll go through it. Right here. Here's my key. Cairo, Paris, Omaha, Lincoln, Wilmington, Goose Bay, Canada, Detroit, Kansas City, St. Louis, Provo, Minot, and Wichita. If a Egyptian plane hit any of these cities, and also, I did a +1 on this, also hit an American city. So if it went Cairo to Paris back to Cairo, I didn't count it. But if it went Cairo to Paris to Omaha, it's on this list. If it went Cairo to Paris to Lincoln, it's on this list. If it ended up in the United States at any of the airports that SUBND or SUBTT had ever hit, including Wilmington, that was my biggest catch. I think I caught all of them in that one, actually, except maybe one. That pulled out of the database to me, and I was able to then plug it into this list here. So let me run you through how this works. I'll blow it up a little bit for those that are old. Here's how it works. So again, this row 11 and 12, don't worry about these. These are the ones Candace Owens has already showed you all about. The red means the flight had no touching in the United States during that month. It was only overseas. So for example, you see this one? It goes Cairo to Paris to, what's ICT here? Cairo to Paris to Wichita, and then it goes to Wilmington and then back to Cairo. Yeah. Cairo, Paris, Wichita, Wilmington, Cairo. Well, it doesn't touch the United States in January, so it's red. That means it's overseas in January. It's in Paris, it's in Cairo. Almost exclusively in Cairo, these reds. And then in February, it comes back, Cairo to Paris, this time through Detroit, then to Lincoln, and then back to Wilmington and back to Cairo. And here you have a nice long link of lots of different legs. Cairo, Paris, Omaha, Lincoln. So now you get an idea of what this means, right? If it's green, that means there was no motion, there was no air travel during this month. However, the plane was stationary in the United States. And I'll back out a little bit because I want you to see globally what I draw from this. Let me back up big here. What you'll see is a lot of these planes pick up one after the other. That's what happened here on the two flights we already knew about, BND and BTT. They were not in the United States at all. Then one comes in the United States, hangs out in the United States for a little while. The other one comes and joins it, and then they both leave. And that happens a lot here. You get this green level here on row 6, and then it leaves the next month, but a new flight comes in. And it happens all the way down. So let me go through these flights here because I want you just to get an idea of how these flights are working, not because I have all the answers of what these mean, because I need your help just like everyone else needs your help. I'm giving you more flights to dig around on, more dates to try to find out, were there people near these dates? There was a lot of suspicion that potentially some of these flights were following certain people around. Well, if that's the case, here are some new flights to check on. I don't have time to do it all. Here are some new flights to check on. If you're a mommy sleuth or if you're a fellow podcaster and you have time to go through these schedules or you write scripts and you can pull it up exactly. But here are some new flights. So again, 11 and 12, rows 11 and 12, these are flights we already knew about. So let's go through BTU here. It is in Lincoln when we pick it up in December of 2024. And then it goes through Wilmington and back to Cairo. And then it comes back in town. It leaves in December to go home to Cairo, and then it comes back. And when it comes back, it goes Cairo to Paris, as they almost all do. And then into Omaha, then into Lincoln, then back to Wilmington, then back to Cairo. And then in February, Cairo through Paris again, into St. Louis this time. Actually, I put STL because it was St. Louis, but it should be CPS. And then out at Wilmington, and then out of Cairo, and then it's gone for the month of March. And then it's back. Nice long leg here in April. Cairo to Paris to Detroit. Is MOT Detroit? No, that's Minot. Okay. Cairo, Paris, Minot, Provo. Now, this is a flight that goes to Provo. And then Wilmington to Cairo, and then back to Paris, back to Omaha, back to Lincoln, back to Wilmington, stays in Wilmington for a few days, and then leaves in May, Wilmington to Cairo, and then it checks out of the United States for good. So it's a lot of the same cities, but we've got some new introductions. We have St. Louis, we have Detroit, we have Minot. These are some new introductions to the Egyptian flight team. Now, BTV. And I'll pull up, BTU, for those that are wondering, that's a Falcon. BTV is also a Falcon, Dassault Falcon, a Dassault Falcon, whatever you want to call it. Cairo to Paris. What's ICT? To Wichita. To Wilmington to Cairo. So when they come in through Paris. When they go out through Wilmington, almost exclusively. What they do when they're here, sometimes they go to Omaha, sometimes they go to Lincoln, sometimes they go to St. Louis, sometimes they go to Detroit. And then it's gone in January, back in February, Cairo, Paris, Detroit, Lincoln, Wilmington, Cairo. And then in March, Cairo, Paris, Omaha, Lincoln, Wilmington, Cairo, back to Paris, then to Detroit. back to Wichita. And then from Wichita to Wilmington to Cairo. Cairo. Oh, gosh, what's LBG again? Oh, Cairo to Paris. Cairo to Paris to Minot to Provo. This one comes back to Provo again. And then to Wilmington, then to Cairo. And then again, Cairo, Paris. Back to Wichita. Back to Wilmington, back to Cairo. And then it does it again. This is a busy flight here. So again, if you're looking for the name, this is SUBTV. So if you're writing these down at home, BTU is a busy flight, lots of places. BTV, a very busy flight, both Dassault Falcons. BPF, what kind of flight is BPF? BPF is a Gulf 4, a G4. This is Lincoln, and then it goes out through Goose Bay, Canada, back to Paris, back to Cairo. And then it leaves for a long time and comes back in August, Cairo, Paris, back through Goose Bay, Omaha, and then Lincoln. And then it hangs around Lincoln for several months, and then it leaves Lincoln through Goose Bay, back to Paris. Oh, and then comes back to Lincoln. That's a weird flight pattern. And again, all the way down here, I can cover all these, but BPE, again, here are your airport codes: Cairo, Paris, Goose Bay, MCI. What was MCI? Kansas City. And then Lincoln, and then hangs out in Lincoln, and then goes Lincoln, Goose Bay, Paris, Cairo, and then it's gone forever. BGM was here in the United States for the first 4 months of that we were tracking it, and then it was in Provo that whole time. Then it goes Provo, Goose Bay, Paris, Cairo, and then leaves, and we've got 2 more flights, and then we'll get off the flights. This was in the United States at CPS, which was St. Louis, Goose Bay, Paris, Cairo, and then it comes back, Cairo to Paris, Paris to Goose Bay, into Omaha, into Lincoln, and that's where it hangs out. And then this one was in Cairo, starts in January, Cairo, Paris, Goose Bay, Omaha, Lincoln, stays in Lincoln for many, many months. In July, it moves around, Lincoln, Goose Bay, Paris, Cairo, and these should all be red, not green. You guys see how I edit on the fly. And then you knew about the other 2 flights. So these are 7 new flights, 7 new Egyptian flights to run down. The last 2 flights yielded a lot of intel, a lot of information. These 7, I don't know whether they'll yield any new information or not. But if we were tracking the other 2 flights, why would we not want to track these 7 flights? These are all Falcons or G4s. BTU is a Falcon. BTV is a Falcon. BPF is a G4. BPE is a G4. BGM is a G4. BNP is a G4. BNO is a G4. BND we knew was a G4. And BTT is a Falcon. Now, I want to show you something really interesting that a very astute listener pointed out. This is fascinating to me. This goes back to the BTT and the they both did this, BTT and BND here. But I'm going to show you a little map where these things were parking. I don't know that my license covers this, but I'm not showing any motion. You see, this is Provo, right? This is the Provo airport. This is right here. This is the hangar way outside of where most airplanes go. Most airplanes come down here. And they put you over here, and you go through the terminal, and you end up in the parking lot, right? And you leave. This over here is the Duncan Aviation Building. You only go over here if you need something. You wouldn't go through Duncan Aviation just for any old reason, right? That's not where you go. And I'll give you an example of that in real time. This was the flight, for example, that I believe Erica Kirk came in on. I'm pretty confident Erica Kirk came in on this flight. This was a flight from Scottsdale to Provo. And you'll see the Duncan Aviation Building's way up here. Well, this flight didn't go to that building. This flight came down here, parked where normal people's flights park. This is a private jet. It's not like she flew in on Southwest. She parked over here. She went through the terminal, and she walked out to the, get a car. That's what normal flights do. That's what almost every flight that comes into Provo does. So a very astute listener to the program said, hey, did you notice the 2 times the flight from, you remember I got to catch some of you up. You guys may not have watched it, but we did the show Friday, and we talked about the flight from Cortez to Blanding to Provo and how it made multiple stops in Provo and how an air traffic controller looked at that and said, no, dog, that ain't right. That breaks all the patterns this flight ever does. This flight never does what looks like human transport. I think the person called it cattle transport. Well, look where the cattle transport goes. It did not go where the other human transport went. It went where the Egyptian plane was parked. It went to Duncan Aviation. Again, Erica Kirk's plane went here. Charlie Kirk's parents' plane went here. Rob McCoy's plane went down here. This is the normal place for humans to land airplanes. If you look, almost every airplane lands there. Only the Cortez flight is coming up here to Duncan Aviation, where Egyptian planes tend to park when they're in town. And it's not just that one flight. I'll show you both of the flights from Cortez parked up there. Both of the flights from Cortez parked up there. Look, here's the second flight. The first one came from the northwest. This one came from the southeast. They're both coming directly from Cortez. They must have just gotten permission to land in different direction. But this one also pulls into Duncan Aviation and stops. Now, I don't know what this plane is doing. I don't know why this plane is landing at Duncan Aviation. I don't think you know why this plane is landing at Duncan Aviation. But I do know this. It needs to be looked into. I mean, if for no other reason than it happened to inconveniently do whatever it was doing on the day Charlie Kirk was eliminated. And if for no other reason, somebody needs to pull everything we know about that plane and say, now, what were you doing? Why were you at Duncan Aviation twice on the same day? That's not normal. Again, I have no idea what they were transporting. I don't know if it was humans. I don't know if it was cargo. There was some suspicion that that Phil Lyman might have been on one of those flights and that they might have come in to pick him up. We know for a fact that's not true because Phil Lyman, I later learned, live streamed live from campus with the campus in the background, so you knew he was there, at 11:30 p.m. Well, both of those flights were gone by then. Both of those flights were gone. And so he didn't do that. And if you remember, he had a car in Provo. Now, he did suspiciously on one live stream about 2 or 3 weeks after the shooting, he said, I don't know whether I spent the night in Provo, in Orem or not. That he had a friend, and a lot of times he stayed at in the friend's basement, which is kind of weird. I mean, whatever. He's got family there, and he could get a hotel. But he said sometimes when he's in town, he stays at his friend's basement. Great. But on that night, he said he didn't remember if he spent the night there or not. I thought that was a little interesting. Like, I would remember where I spent on the night Charlie Kirk was assassinated had I been there. I see a lot of people in the chat talking about yellow cake. I saw George Webb's video, and I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. I don't know whether it's cargo or humans, but what I really don't know is why are these planes flying direct to Provo and that is clearly a medevac plane, and it is clearly not transporting humans to hospitals, because humans would not be going to Duncan Aviation. Humans would be going through the terminal into a car and then to the local hospital. And they almost never went to Provo Hospital. Those are small hospitals. They go to Salt Lake City. They go to Phoenix. They go to Denver. So I don't know what the truth is about these planes. I don't know why they're going to Duncan Aviation. I don't know why there's 7 new Egyptian planes we didn't know about. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot about this I don't know. If I knew everything there was to know about it, we would know exactly what happened to Charlie and why. There would be no confusion. There would be no lack of understanding. We would have perfect clarity. But we have anything but. We have absolutely anything but perfect clarity at this point in time. Okay, I'm moving through this pretty quickly. I want to read an email, a portion of an email I got that might help us determine what these planes are doing. I asked this person permission if I could read a portion of this. I had not heard back by press time, so I'm going to read without their permission. But I'm not giving away anything that would identify who this is. My dearest, most favorite podcast host, Barron. I added that part. That's not in the email. About blank number of years ago, I worked for an air medical transport based out of blank. I'm not going to tell you how long ago or where, because then you can kind of figure out who it is. They had a fleet that included, and then it lists 2 or 3 different types of planes. Long story short, towards the end of a prior presidential administration, there were rumblings about wars. We started to have some strange, spooky types hanging around the company with talks of flights to areas where wars might be breaking out with our medical business as a cover. It was bad enough, strange enough, that I started to be aware that I needed to be careful about what I talked about with people I knew without appropriate precautions. I was annoyed with our organization for getting wrapped up in CIA bull doo-doo, as most of us had a mission of life-saving care. I wanted nothing to do with these people and what they were bringing to the mix. To my knowledge, we did not take any of these missions, and these agents stopped showing up around the company. I think they realized they'd worn out their welcome quickly. I tell you this because I'm going to bet that we were not the only medical transport to be approached for things like this. When thinking about the strangeness around these private aircraft, I thought I might provide some context. FBOs in small-town airports seem completely open for whatever crazy doo-doo that someone might want to do. Think Mena, Arkansas, where all the cocaine of the 80s and 90s came in. If you have a private jet, you can pretty much do whatever the heck you want. I flew private for years, taking off and landing in towns I'd never heard of before. You encounter no one. There are no questions. There's no security. I like that because ideally this is the way we should be as free people. However, it is ripe for shady behavior and people will harvest that fruit. I hope this provides some context. I can imagine he probably was not the only company that was approached by shady characters. I can imagine he probably was not the only company. And again, I do this in the context, I mean, the obvious context, because George Webb put out a massive, I mean, it's an interesting set of facts. Like Cortez, Colorado, where this air transport is based, they mine yellow cake uranium. Blanding, Utah, where the plane stopped, and it's only a 15-minute flight from Cortez to Blanding. I mean, Cortez is southwest Colorado, and Blanding is southeast Utah. They're right next to each other. Like you could almost spit the packaging of a straw out over across the Four Corners region from one to the other. I think by the time you fire up your plane, get it warmed up, and get taxi over there, you're already there. So I have no idea why a plane from Cortez is stopping in Blanding and then flying to Duncan Aviation multiple times. I don't know that. But I also did not know that Cortez mined a bunch of yellowcake, and Blanding, Utah, has a processing center for yellowcake where they can take mined raw yellowcake uranium and turn it into valuable stuff, so to speak, that is in high demand around the world. Yellowcake uranium from Cortez. George Webb suspects could jump on a plane in Cortez. It could land in Blanding, Utah, where it would be processed and then taken to Provo, where it could be flown out on Egyptian airplanes. That's what he's suggesting. I don't know the answer to that. I don't necessarily buy that. But I will say this. I had no idea that Cortez mined uranium. I had no idea that Blanding processed uranium. And until this case, I had no idea Egyptians were hanging out in Utah. And so I'm learning as you guys are learning. I'm learning as you guys are learning. But this email provided interesting context that, hey, don't you understand government agencies sometimes use private medical transport to do bad things or to do under the radar things because nobody would suspect your plane is in the air. Just one day a month, fly to Scottsdale. One day a month, fly over to Provo. We're good. We're good. Nobody will notice. And nobody would have noticed if Charlie Kirk hadn't been de-necked. If his gizzards hadn't shown up on live television. So, hey, do with that what you want. I'm not telling you that George Webb is onto something. I'm not telling you he's not onto something. What I'm telling you is he brought facts that I did not know to the discussion. Hold on, I got to find something here. You're going to like this. Where'd it go? All right. I'm going to go back in time just a little bit to show you some text messages you guys have all seen. But an emailer put this in new context for me. These are the infamous Charlie Kirk text messages from 48 hours before he lost his life. Just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. The emailer emails me and says, but Baron, everybody's focusing on that last one, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. I have been focusing on that last one. He said, hey, why don't you focus on the one right before that? And my emailer emailed me and said, hey, I'm Jewish. This is my emailer, not me. He said, I'm Jewish, and you telling me, if you tell me that Jewish donors are playing into all the Jewish stereotypes, them are fighting words. Like, that's worse than you leaving the pro-Israel cause. Because you could be like me. I don't particularly care for the pro-Israel cause. I'm not anti-Jewish. I don't care about them. I don't care about them any more than Hindus or Buddhists or anything else. I don't believe their religion. They don't believe mine. Don't mess with me. I won't mess with you. We'll all get along. I don't particularly like Israeli foreign policy, but I don't like a lot of countries. I don't like Chinese foreign policy. I'm not anti-Chinese. If I go to the doctor and a Chinese guy is my doctor, I'm not like, oh, gosh, you guys, you're everywhere. I don't care. But what the emailer said was this previous one, Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied by that. So I started thinking, well, do we have any evidence of that? Do we have any evidence that that would be a problem? Let's go back in time to a Rob McCoy sermon. You know I can't go a whole day without watching a Rob McCoy sermon. A Rob McCoy sermon where he's talking about anti-Semitism. And listen to what he says should be done with anti-Semites. And keep in mind, Rob McCoy's words are not limited to Rob McCoy. He obviously is parroting whatever he hears, because when he talks, there's a whole lot of people who happen to give the same talking points at the same time. So let's go to Professor McCoy, shall we?
I was a little frustrated this week, and I'll express it as I did first service. Relax, you look all tense. But, there's woke left and woke right. Let me explain. We'll take the inauguration. Woke left said, there's not enough color in this gathering of people. Woke right says, there's too many Jews.
Maybe I hang out with the wrong people. I never hear anybody complaining about too many Jews. I just never hear that. And again, maybe I hang out maybe I hang out with the wrong people. I don't think Rob would like my foreign policy or my theology, but I just never hear that. But apparently it's a big problem. Now let's listen to what Robbie wants to do with it.
I got from two separate people calling the president. This is a man, by the way, that took 2 assassination attempts and took a bullet, was facing 700 years in prison and tried to bankrupt him. They went after everyone that was affiliated with him, including his family. They raided his home. And all they could say is call him Zion Don, because he's surrounded by Jews. If that's your position, this is not a fellowship for you.
So this is the first time he finally hints at kind of what it is. I went back and looked at some historical stuff. He's very negative on anti-Semitism, obviously. Again, I don't think people should be disliked because of their DNA makeup, what race they are, what family they come from, what religion they practice. I don't think anybody should be sort of trashed on any of that stuff, right? Like if you came to me and said, hey, I don't like that person. Why? He's Laotian. Huh? What problem do you have with people of Laos? You know, what have they ever done other than make great food? This is the first time, though, he said, hey, these anti-Semites, this isn't the place for you. Now, maybe he's talking about Earth, but let's hear him out.
You're anti-Semitic. You can call yourself an anti-Zionist, but you're anti-Semitic. Watching Candace Owens, she couldn't even listen to the rabbi's prayer. She had to cut away. That's not Christendom. We don't participate in replacement theology. You have to pretzel yourself. And you want to find the controversy everywhere in the world in the form of a Jew? Go somewhere else.
Yeah, go somewhere else. Now, if you want to find controversies in the form of a Jew, go somewhere else. Rob here is being very clear. His political faction has no place for you unless you are pro-Zionist, which is, look, he has a right to be that way. Just like I think that people have a right to say, no, I don't particularly care for Israeli foreign policy. I think people have a right to say, I do care, and it's a deal breaker for me. And if you are not one of me, then you've got to go somewhere else. Just like if someone was of Italian heritage and they said, hey, I will support the people of Italy no matter what. I love Italy. And I don't care who the prime minister of Italy is. I don't care what their position is. I'm going to support it. Because one day I might want to move back to Italy to be near my pasta-eating friends. They have that right. I mean, this is America. Again, you can say those things if you want. You're allowed to hold that position. But as I listen to his conclusion or what he would like to have happen to those people, he's very clear. I don't want you around. I don't want you here. And again, I'm having trouble. Is here meaning like in your church fellowship, in your friendship? Or are you talking about like here meaning the globe, the earth, the temporal realm? alive, breathing oxygen, drinking water.
And that's a kind invitation to leave, because if you remain, we're going to have to ask you to leave. So,
if you remain, we're going to have to ask you to leave. Well, what if you can't ask them to leave because they own the place? You know, it's a little like this. Rob reminds me of somebody who goes into your house. You've invited somebody over for some gumbo, right? Or, I don't know, people around the world watching this. I don't know what you Balkans eat. Here in the South, we eat gumbo. We get a big old pot. We stew it up for a long time. We put vegetables. We put meats. It stews down. It's got a little spice. It's got a nice little roux-based stew. Got maybe some crab meat, some duck. It's great. But you invite somebody over for some chili. Okay, let's go a little more global. Or you invite them over for some gumbo, and you got a big pot cooking, and they come over to your house. This is Rob. Rob comes over to your house. You're making the gumbo. You're making the stew. You've invited him over, and he comes over and he goes, I don't like that gumbo. It's too spicy. You need to leave. I'll make my own gumbo. What? It's my house. Yeah, well, I don't like your gumbo. And you're rude. You're rude. I don't like your shirt. It's got an ugly message on it. So you got to get out of here. That's a little like Rob at TPUSA. That was Charlie's baby. That was his place. That wasn't Rob's place. Rob doesn't have a right to kick him out. And so if Rob wants someone to leave, you can't kick someone out of their own house. You'd have to neutralize them, for lack of a better word. But he's being very clear. If you don't see Israeli foreign policy the way I do, you've got to go. That's the Rob McCoy message. That's his position. He's clear about it. He's very clear about it. And so I go back and I look at this text message, and I think maybe my emailing friend was onto something. Maybe it's not about the fact that he was thinking of inviting Candace. That's certainly not death-worthy. Maybe it's not that he's just leaving the pro-Israeli cause. Maybe it's the Jewish donors playing into all the stereotypes. Maybe it's that line. And that was just too much. That was a line he wasn't able to cross. Or maybe he had expressed things like that before. I doubt this is the first time he'd ever said that. And what they may have said is, hey, oh, by the way, this guy really is a bubbling anti-Semite. He has been for some time. This is not the first time he said this. He might have said this 6 months or a year ago. And keep in mind what he was trying to accomplish on a foreign policy basis. Charlie Kirk was trying to get Donald Trump not to attack Iran, meaning the Iranian regime would remain. And he was trying to get him to have some sort of a peace agreement in Gaza, meaning the Gazans would remain. Well, that's anathema to Rob McCoy and his ilk. That's anathema to even the people in Egypt. That's anathema certainly to the people in Israel. That is not a policy any of them were interested in having around. And if they're willing to, and again, this just indulge me, this is just an argument. Let's assume a country was willing to systematically eradicate its neighbors. Do you think they would have a problem killing you if you were going to get in the way of them doing it? Or let's say it had been your like globalist dream for the past 50 years to get rid of the Iranians. Like that's all that has consumed you for 50, 60, 70 years. And you feel like you're just on the cusp of getting ready to do it. And when you do it, you know people are going to die. Your own soldiers are going to die. Some Iranians are going to die. Maybe some members of the Iranian regime are going to die. Maybe the religious leaders are going to die. There'll probably be hundreds, maybe thousands, potentially tens or hundreds of thousands. Could be 1 million people dead in this conflict. I mean, if Israel and the United States and Egypt go to war with Iran, it's not out of the realm of possibility that 1 million people could die. 1 million people died in Syria, and Syria is a tiny little slice of what Iran is. A tiny little slice. You could have millions of people die. And the globalists, the leaders of these countries have determined that is a price worth paying. If you go back to Madeleine Albright, you remember somebody asked her, hey, the death of 500,000 children that died in Iraq, was that a fair price to pay for a regime change there? She said, yeah, sure it was. I mean, these people are monsters. These people are monsters. They don't look at life the way you and I look at it. Which is why they would have no problem killing one more person who stood in the way. In other words, if you're not with them on a foreign policy objective, you're basically a soldier in the other army. So if you're out there saying, hey, whoa, let's not go to war with Iran, that's not right. You're basically a soldier for Iran. And if you're a soldier for Iran, you can die. You can be taken out. You can be neutralized. The same thing with Gaza. Anybody saying that the Gazans should have a right to be there, you're basically a Gazan soldier at that point. You can now be eliminated. And that's where Charlie put himself. But he put himself there with a little bit of an anti-Semitic twist. Jewish donors playing all the stereotypes. What stereotypes, Charlie? Do share. The microphone is all yours. Go on, Charlie. What stereotypes you talking about? What stereotypes? Would you like Nick Fuentes to tell us what stereotypes you're talking about? Or, I mean, that's obviously what he's talking about. And so I look at this as almost as a casualty of war. Charlie is almost a casualty of war at this point. All right, let me see how I can share this. Let's see if I can share this way. If not, I may have to share my whole screen, let you see them both. Let's do this one first. This is from Elizabeth McCoy's Instagram, Eliza McCoy's Instagram page. She has tagged Mikey McCoy. You can see that right here at the top. She has tagged Mikey McCoy. You see that? And somebody says, hey, Elizabeth, Mikey McCoy, is that his stage name? In other words, I've never heard of Mikey McCoy. Who's Mikey McCoy? Now, keep in mind, this is 240 weeks ago. So this would have been April of 2021. This would have been right about the time Mikey McCoy went to work for TPUSA. He's 23 now or 24 now. He'd have been about 20 at the time. He might have been there a year or so. Is that his stage name? And then somebody commented and said, is that not his real name? Meaning that this is just a few weeks ago. Is that not his real name? So do we have evidence of what his name was at the time? As a matter of fact, we do. Because we have Eliza McCoy's Instagram page. And let's see what was Mikey McCoy's name. Well, now it's been changed to Mikey McCoy. But if you'll notice, he was Michael McCoy 317 weeks ago. He was Michael McCoy. And he said things like, love you, Queen, spelled Kween. Could very well mean he is a big fan of the Flintstones. Could very well mean he's a very happy guy. That could absolutely mean Mikey McCoy is happy in the happiest sense of the word happy. But we have evidence now that 317 weeks ago, what was 317 weeks ago? 317 weeks ago date, this would have been 2019. In 2019, Mikey McCoy was named Michael McCoy. He has since changed it to Mikey McCoy, and we know that when he did change it, and Eliza McCoy started referencing him as Mikey McCoy, people asked what the hell was going on because that wasn't his name. Do you see how weird this story gets? Now, wait till they find out he's a general, or he's great, or he's amazing, or he's the inimitable Mikey McCoy. But I think this tells you something. Like, this is a weird setup. This is a really weird setup. Mikey McCoy is not Mikey McCoy, but everybody calls him Mikey McCoy. Mikey McCoy is Michael McCoy. Now, you might have a little, you remember the Life cereal commercial? Give it to Mikey, he'll eat anything. You remember that? It's not unusual that you would call someone Mikey if they're like 6 months old or 2 years old or 5 years old. But at a certain point, Mikey becomes Mike or Michael, and you start referring to him as Mike or Michael. Like, it wasn't Mikey Tyson. But Mike Tyson's mom might have called him little Mikey. Come here, little Mikey. I mean, Mike, I know how kids are, man. They just throw hands. Can you imagine little 5-year-old Mike Tyson playing around? He might knock out his mom. I don't know. I don't want to go into that. But, or Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan might have been Mikey Jordan when he was really little. He might have been little Mikey Jordan. Come here, Mikey. Here's a little basketball, Mikey. Oh, look, little Mikey likes to shoot the basketball. Oh, it's so cute, Mikey. But I know one thing, 317 weeks ago and 240 weeks ago, he was Michael. In 2019, he was Michael. And no one doubted he was Michael because everybody called him Michael. And then in 2021, when Eliza referred to him as Mikey, people were like, who the hell are you talking about? We don't know anyone named Mikey. We only know someone named Michael. Look at his Instagram handle, Eliza, if that is your real name. But I do know they both get the TPUSA, and Michael becomes Mikey, so it's Mikey and Charlie. And Elizabeth becomes Eliza, so it's Erica and Eliza. So it's Charlie and Erica, Mikey and Eliza. Charlie and Mikey, Erica and Eliza. So they take on kind of this weird, like, I'm trying to be you dynamic. I'm even taking your name. I know that I saw a clip the other day. This was great. I saw a clip the other day. Apparently, Mikey has taken stuff out of Charlie's office and put it in his own office. Because a lady calls into the show and she said, hey, I gave that football to Charlie. And he's like, yeah, it's in my office now, sorry. Which I think is a little weird. Like, you're robbing from the dead. That's kind of grave robbing, right? I don't know. Maybe Charlie's dying wish may have been twofold. It may have been like, if something happens to me, no matter what, you got to call Erica. After you call your wife, and then get off the phone with my wife really quickly and call your dad. So that's number one. Got to call Erica. But also, take the Oregon football out of my office and make sure it's behind you in every screen you have. Yeah. Every time you're on the radio, make sure there's the Oregon football right there in your office. Those are the only two things I want. Call Erica, take stuff out of my office and put it on your background. It's just a really bizarre, really, really bizarre thing. So where was Mikey? Where was Mikey? Because in the last episode, if you guys were with us on Friday, we discovered, and if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. It was a great episode. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. Great episode. But we discovered Mikey, after Rob McCoy arrives, is actually not at the hospital. Mikey's at a hotel in Salt Lake City. And I remember thinking, that is really weird. Like, was Mikey or Michael... Let's just call him Michael from now. Nah, people get confused. Was Little Flintstone Mikey, was he planning to stay in Salt Lake the entire time? Like, did he have hotel room? Or did he have reservations? What hotel did he stay at? These are all relevant questions. But did Mikey, what was his timeline? We know he wasn't there when Rob got there. So let's find out a little bit from Rob here what happened in the immediate aftermath, and then we'll find out from Frank where it is, or when it was that Mikey showed up, because we have a missing timeline a little bit right now. So let me share this with you. Let's hear first from Rob. This might also answer the question, how did Rob know what Mikey was wearing?
You know what? I'm looking at my son who's 24 years old. Justin's the CFO, chief financial officer, and Mikey's the chief of staff. And I'm watching, the minute Charlie was shot, he called me, says, Dad, Charlie's been shot in the neck.
All right, he says he's watching. I'm watching, and the moment he's shot, he calls me. I don't remember hearing that the first time. Did you guys catch it? Or am I the only one in America that didn't know that this happened? He was watching. I was unaware.
And you know what? I'm looking at my son who's 24 years old. Justin's the CFO, chief financial officer, and Mikey's the chief of staff. And I'm watching, the minute Charlie was shot, he called me, says, Dad, Charlie's been shot in the neck.
Was anyone else in America watching? Were they even live streaming it anywhere? Was anybody else watching it? I know a lot of people within minutes. I got the timeline here. Within minutes, people immediately start tweeting it out. I'll go back to my emailers timeline here. I checked out some of these work. Within the first person to hit Twitter with it was on 12:26. So 3 minutes. It's actually Phil Lyman. 12:26 is the first time on Twitter anyone's aware there were shots fired. Where was the live stream he's watching? And why are we just, I guess he'd said it at the memorial event here, but why is this not made a bigger deal of? And why was he watching? Like, your son is the chief of staff, so therefore you're watching a live rally he's doing? That's weird to me. It's a little weird to me. But it gives you an idea of perhaps how he knew Mikey had changed clothes. That's why I wanted to play this, because it answers a question that I had last week, which is, how did Rob know that Mikey had changed clothes? Now, here answers the question, where was Mikey in the immediate aftermath of the shooting, and when did he leave the hospital?
And just ran him right in through the emergency room, and they had a team there, and they started pounding on him and started putting blood in him, and they did get a pulse, but later the doctor said that's just because he was healthy. But the shot was catastrophic. Let me just put it that way. We couldn't have done anything.
So he's given you a little timeline here. So we know it took, I think they said, around 10 minutes to get from the venue to the hospital. He says we ran him right into the emergency room, right into surgery. So apparently that part was very quick. But now listen to how long it takes Mikey McCoy to show up to the hospital.
He died instantly.
Yeah, first aid there. He was killed instantly. The only comfort is that he didn't experience any pain, according to the doctor. He was just taken out.
What did the doctor say when he came
What's
out?
that?
What did the doctor say when he came out?
Well, there was one doctor that basically said, okay, we have a pulse. So we're all praying out loud. We're like, come on, Lord, save it. Come on. Give us a sliver of hope here. And we're praying out loud in the car on the way there. And then they brought him into surgery. And about, I'd say, a half hour later, the head surgeon came out and said he's dead. And that's when the great Mikey McCoy showed up.
So it's 10 minutes to the hospital. It's a half hour in surgery. So it's 40 minutes. What was Mikey McCoy? What was the great Mikey McCoy? What was Mikey the General McCoy doing for this half hour, for this 40 minutes? Where was he? This is unaccounted for time. We know he made all the phone calls he needed to make initially within like 45 seconds. Like he was able to, in under a minute and a half, call his wife, Eliza McCoy. He was able to call Charlie's wife, Erica, Kirk, and he was able to call his dad, Rob McCoy, in record time, like under 2 minutes. So what did you do for the other 38 minutes? Where were you? Where did you go? I think this is relevant to why were you in Salt Lake City in a hotel room? Like that, those two facts are not disconnected to me. Those are very much connected to me. Where did you go in the immediate aftermath? We saw you walking towards the parking lot. Did you get in a car in the parking lot? Did you have to come back? Were you waiting on traffic to let out? I mean, there could be a legitimate explanation, but I think we deserve an explanation. I think we deserve an explanation. So we have evidence now, and I guess we've had it this whole time, but I've not been able to put it on a timeline yet, that it took 40 minutes for Mikey to get to the hospital. What were you doing for 40 minutes? It's only 10 minutes away. And then you're there a couple of hours, presumably. The doctor comes out. He gives you the bad information. You call the vice president. That's a weird phone call to me. It's a weird phone call. You call Erica Carker, you call the vice president. Those are weird phone calls, but hey, I'm not rich and famous. I'm not super connected. Maybe the vice president is a very natural first call. Maybe it was because Donald Trump had been on the phone earlier that morning with Emmanuel Macron that the vice president had an interest. I don't know. I don't know why that was one of the first phone calls. I'm just telling you that was one of the first phone calls. If you continue to watch that clip there, that is one of the very first phone calls. Oh gosh, where did it go? Here it is. I want to go back because, and I want to give her the credit because I would not have found this. Allie Top Files on Twitter. Allie Top Files on Twitter gives us an idea of where it is that we got the news. Who had the news that Charlie Kirk had passed away? Who was it that first broke the news? A lot of people mistakenly believe that news was initially broken by Donald Trump. I even made the mistake of telling friends and family, can you imagine when in the immediate aftermath of Charlie Kirk passing, I thought, what an amazing life you must have lived for the president of the United States to be the first person to break the news that you had passed away. That's just unheard of. Not a Family Guy saying it. The first public pronouncement that you've passed away is from the President of the United States. What a miraculous, what a storied, what a noteworthy life you must have lived in order for that to be a fact. But now we want to go back because there was a guy at the event. His name was Butch Hibbs. He's the brother of Jack Hibbs, who's a pastor. If you're wondering who Butch Hibbs is, let me pull up a photo. You'll remember him. He's the old guy that was wearing, I'll pull this photo up here real quick. He was the old guy who was wearing a long sleeve flannel. You remember this guy? Long sleeve flannel. And he has a white hat on that says 47 on it. He's got this like shockingly white beard and he's wearing these big things. And it's 92 degrees and everyone else there is wearing shorts and a t-shirt or pants and a t-shirt, except for Butch Hibbs, who's wearing insulated flannel and long combat pants and combat boots. He's the only one. He appears to be unimpacted by heat. Heat does not bother Butch Hibbs. Butch Hibbs vacations on Venus, where it's 700 degrees. He is not afraid of a little heat. So here is, and I'll blow it up in a second, but I want to give her the credit because she found this and I came across it on my Twitter feed. Then I want to steal something from somebody. This is Allie Files, Allie Top Files, I think, yeah, A-L-L-E-Y, Allie Top Files from today. This is Butch Hibbs' brother. Remember, Butch Hibbs was the guy there. He's in the flannel. This was Butch Hibbs' brother describing how he found out Charlie Kirk was dead. And here's the key to what I'm about to tell you. This video was recorded before Donald Trump's pronouncement that Charlie Kirk had passed away.
Hey everybody, just an update on what's going on. It is 1:45 Pacific time. And as you guys have been watching the news, there's conflicting reports all around the globe, literally all around the globe. Israeli news service and Benjamin Netanyahu had made a comment and made the announcement that Charlie Kirk had passed.
So there's who broke the news. It actually was not Donald Trump, because this video was recorded and transmitted live to X before Donald Trump made the pronouncement that Charlie Kirk had passed away. I'll play it again. It's just a few seconds, and then I'll play a little more of it after that. But I don't want you to miss that. This is a pastor in Rob Kirk's denomination, Calvary Chapel. This is the brother of Butch Hibbs, who was present at the event, strangely. But I don't want it to get lost what he is saying.
Hey everybody, just an update on what's going on. It is 1:45 Pacific time. And as you guys have been watching the news, there's conflicting reports all around the globe.
Yeah, the conflicting reports, if you remember, there were people saying, man, he looks dead to me, like he lost like a gallon of blood out of his neck. And people were saying, yeah, but the hospital said they got a pulse. And Frank Turk even said that they got a pulse while they were at the hospital. So there were conflicting reports, but nobody had confirmed it as fact until...
Literally all around the globe. Israeli news service and Benjamin Netanyahu had made a comment and made the announcement that Charlie Kirk had passed.
So we were all wrong. Because again, this was recorded, and I'll show you evidence of that in a second. This was recorded before Donald Trump made the pronouncement that Charlie Kirk had passed away. Who knew for a fact he'd passed away? Bibi Netanyahu and the Israeli news service.
That he was in fact dead, that Charlie has died. They made that announcement roughly 20 minutes after the shooting.
They made the announcement 20 minutes after the shooting. So the Israeli news service and Benjamin Netanyahu knew within 20 minutes. Now, where was Charlie Kirk 20 minutes after the shooting? Well, it took 10 minutes. It took him 15 seconds to pick him up off the ground. It took him 27 seconds to get him to the Tahoe. It took maybe 8 seconds to get him loaded in. I'm going by memory here. My times might be a few seconds off, but they're pretty close. And then they estimated it took 10 to 12 minutes to get to the hospital, which means at about minute 11 to 13, he's actually at the hospital. This is before the alleged pulse was found. This is while he's at the hospital, meaning someone in the car perhaps sent a message to them saying he's dead. Or someone at the event sends a message and says, they're on the way, but that boy's dead. Like he's gone. Or someone inside the hospital sends a message overseas. He's gone. We're still beating on him, but he's not going to come back. But somehow, and I'm going to play it again. I think it's that shocking. So many of these videos got lost in the shuffle that I'm glad some of them are surfacing again. But this is very late in the evening over there. I mean, it was, or maybe it was mid-afternoon, late afternoon. Either way. This is a pastor who's saying this, Pastor Jack Hibbs, again, friend of Rob McCoy, same denomination, Calvary Chapel. This is Pastor Jack Hibbs, brother of Butch Hibbs, who was at the event, the old man that was standing and talking into the bush, the old man who was standing behind Charlie and didn't move. When the loud crack went out that everybody else ran from, he just stood there. This is the old man who milled around in the background of Life is Driving's video for 30 minutes. That's his brother. And he's telling us Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli news service 20 minutes after the shooting announced that Charlie Kirk had passed away. I'll play it again.
Hey everybody, just an update on what's going on. It is 1:45 Pacific time. And as you guys have been watching the news, there's conflicting reports all around the globe, literally all around the globe. Israeli news service and Benjamin Netanyahu had made a comment and made the announcement that Charlie Kirk had passed, that he was in fact dead, that Charlie has died. They made that announcement roughly 20 minutes after the shooting. U.S. News reported nothing of that he was stable. Some reports said that he was in surgery. Of course, obviously, I've talked to people who were literally in the presence of Charlie, trying to stabilize him.
Okay. Guys, he just said U.S. News was reporting that he was stable, that they had a pulse, that he wasn't dead. The Israelis knew 20 minutes afterwards. Now, this is an hour and a half after the shooting. He just said it's 12:45. This is 2 hours and 22 minutes after the shooting. It still hasn't broken in America. But 2 hours and 5 minutes ago, it broke in Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, again, I'm taking this guy at his word. I haven't fact-checked that. I imagine that's going to be difficult to fact-check at this point.
CNN is just now reporting that he is in fact passed. Tonight, special service this evening. Not exactly sure.
Well, then he got to advertise for his congregation. So do with that what you will. Again, I raise these issues not because I have all the answers, but because these are things you guys can help with the show and just with the hive mind that's investigating this. It's not just this program. There are lots of programs investigating this. You guys, can you find where the Israeli news service first broke that news within 20 minutes? Can you tell me what Jack Hibbs was referencing? Is there another statement from anyone else where they're referencing Benjamin Netanyahu or Israeli news service? Is there another statement from Jack Hibbs other than this video? Like, there's a lot of work that needs to be done here. I can only do so much of it. What I do well. I mean, really well. But I can only do so much. I can only do so much. All right, last piece here. This is a video. We've looked at this before on this program. Oops, sorry. I didn't know the volume was on. We've looked at this on this program before, but I want to show it again in the context of the timeline I'm working on now. Where are you? Oh, there it is. Okay. This video, let me pull it up so you guys can see what I'm looking at. This video was posted by Ryan Matta. Ryan Matta's great. He's watermarked this, so I don't have to show you his Twitter feed. I have confirmed this is, in fact, a white Toyota RAV4. I confirmed this in my church parking lot. Believe it or not. I roll into my church parking lot this morning. Into the parking lot, there's a white Toyota RAV4. It has a sunroof. It has the little rails on the top, just like the one that was in the parking lot. And I was able to confirm that is, in fact, a RAV4. I pulled this up. I got there a little early, 10 minutes or so early. So I'm looking at it. I'm looking at this video. I'm like this in the church parking lot. I've got my phone up, and then I'm like scanning the RAV4 on this side. I'm looking, and I'm looking, and I'm looking, and I'm looking. And I get right up next to the RAV4, and I just put the phone, and I even move it a little bit to the side. That's a RAV4, baby. That's a RAV4. It's white. So I want to look at this now again in the context, because you will see that right there, that car moving in the back, that car at the top left of the screen, that gray car. You can see my cursor kind of moving around it. A lot of you complain you can't see my cursor, but it's that gray car kind of top left. It's about to move as soon as I hit pause. That car, that's supposedly Tyler Robinson. Now, we got a little wait because you got some time. He pulls up and he stops. Now, this is the Toyota RAV4 pulling out behind it. But I'm going to tell you what time this is because I think it's pretty shocking. Right there. Now this Toyota RAV4 is moving. This supposedly took place at 12:44, 21 minutes after the shooting. This right here on the top right, you'll see it says 12:46. So maybe it's 23 minutes after the shooting. Or maybe it started. Yeah, it started at 12:44. So Tyler Robinson pulls up right there at 12:44:50, right before 21 minutes and 20 seconds after the shooting. He's pulling up here. He sits stationary at the end of the thing there for a full minute. A minute 7. And then the Toyota RAV4 pulls behind Tyler Robinson right there, and they drive off together. And there they go. Now, I bring that up for two reasons. One is, I was under the impression that took place a lot later in the afternoon. Like, I was under the impression that took place way later in the afternoon. It did not. It was 21 minutes after the shooting. How did Tyler Robinson, if it was Tyler Robinson, or how did anyone on the shooting on the roof take the shot, run across the top of the roof, jump down, run out into the neighborhood, run all the way across the neighborhood to the car, get in the car, and then drive 10 minutes across town to be at this location 21 minutes later? That's shocking to me. Yeah, I didn't see Tyler Robinson either. But do we know where Mikey McCoy was? Because you know where he wasn't when this video was taken? Mikey McCoy was not at the hospital. Mikey McCoy was not at the hospital when this image was taken. Was he in the car? I don't know. Was he in a white Toyota RAV4 or a gray Dodge Challenger? I don't know. I can't tell you. But I know he wasn't at the hospital because Frank Turek tells me he doesn't show up at the hospital for another 15 minutes after this. Or another, 15 minutes after this video was taken. So I don't know. I don't know where Mikey McCoy was. Or Michael. I don't even know if he was going by Michael or Mikey at the time. That I don't know. All right, I want to go through, not tonight because we've already gone way too long. We're an hour and 44 minutes, and I haven't even gotten to your supers yet. I want to go through the timeline at some point in the near future. I've got a lot of stuff I'm working on, and it's just getting completely muddied up with the timeline. So I want to go through the timeline and make sure we're all singing from the same hymnal when it comes to the timeline, because I get the feeling a lot of people don't understand just how impossible some of this timeline was. You know, that's why O.J. Simpson got off. A lot of people thought O.J. Simpson got off because of race and all that. I don't think so. If you talk to the jurors, if you hear their interviews, what they say is the timeline didn't make sense. It made no sense. There's no way he could have done it, gotten there, gotten cleaned up, gotten home, gotten on the plane. Impossible. Impossible. I'm not going to turn this into OJ. But OJ's son did it, by the way. That's my theory. That's my opinion. Don't come after me, Jason. I like my neck connected to my shoulders. We need a retraction. Please read Luke 2:48. I will. When his parents saw him, they were astonished. And his mother said to him, "Son, why have you done this to us? Your father and I have been looking for you with great anxiety." Yeah. I don't know what the retraction is, but you got it. Consider it retracted. Go Baron. Well, thank you. Thank you for your A-Bucks, and thank you for the salute. Right back at you, sir. Happy birthday. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. It's coming up in a couple days, but thank you. I will apply that $5 for my birthday and have something. I'll make something nice out of it. Catholic belief, Mary born without original sin. Oh, we're going Catholic now. Immaculate conception, having lived a sinless life as the Ark of the Covenant, assumed into heaven, not possible with a sinful soul, was anxious. Oh, is that what you're saying? Is that what, okay, that's what this was about. That's what this is about. Yeah. I'm not saying, okay. Like, I'm not saying you should never worry about it. Like, if you're driving in the rain and it's really coming down and you're hydroplaning a little bit or you're on ice, I'm not saying you shouldn't, like, have a little anxiety in that moment. I'm talking about generalized anxiety disorder. I'm talking about generalized worry. Like, you live a worried life. You're worried about this. You're worried about that. Like, when people think of you, they think of you like, oh, gosh, oh, no. How am I ever going to get by? Like, that's sinful. If you start to slip and you go, oh, my gosh, and you have a little anxiety, that's pretty normal. That's pretty normal. Consider myself retracted, ma'am. If C. Bunzy is your real name. Seriously, 5-6 E-bucks. I want to be barren when I grow up. Your career is my dream, radio or law. Got any words of wisdom, tips for the future? Depends on how old you are. Depends on where you live, because I don't know much about the law over in Europe. Tips on the radio. Don't worry about the microphone. Just have a conversation. Stop being nervous. Tips on law. I really don't know where you live. I don't know what law is like. I know for one of my cases, I had to get admitted to at the time, it was the Queen's Bench in England. And that was a weird process because you have to take a test and you have to sign away your life and tell them you got to get fitted for a robe and a wig, which I thought was insanely infantile and even slightly feminine. But and then you have to. I got admitted to the Gray's Inn of Court, I think is what I was a member of for a short period of time. Paid my dues, but yeah. So I don't know about. I mean, if you live in Germany, do you live in France? I don't know where you live. I don't know what the law's like where you live. Anxiety is a natural human reaction. Hey, the more you pay me, the more I'll read about it. Anxiety can lead to sinful behavior, i.e. self-medicating with alcohol, etc. But anxiety itself is not a sin. That's not true. A life of anxiety and worry is a sin. It is a doubt. It is a significant deficit in your doubt of God's provision. But you are continuing to donate, so I will keep reading. As a mother, I can personally attest to many moments of anxiety, worry stemming from a spirit of love and protection. Again, I have a father of 8. You don't think I have a little worry and anxiety from time to time with my kids? Of course. I'm talking about a life of anxiety. I don't need to be medicated over it. I don't need to be medicated because I'm worried because it's 12:30 and their phone is off and they were supposed to be home at 12. That's a normal bout of anxiety. If I had that anxious feeling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I'm doubting God's provision in my life. That's all I'm saying. Washington was wise beyond his years. We truly need to be thinking about America and American issues. Get on board or get moving. Yes, but this is an international show. As you know, we're huge in the Balkans. Speaking of the Balkans, I watched Ian Carroll play some geography game this afternoon while I was getting ready for this show. I had his Twitch stream running. That guy knows so much about geography. They pulled up some little island that I'd never even heard of, like Nauru. Sound like Nauvoo, like some Star Trek deal or a Star Wars deal. And he was like, I think it's out in this little area. And he kind of zoomed in. He's like, maybe that dot. And just click the dot. Bam! Nailed it. And I thought, I will never play him in Jeopardy. He's obviously smart. So we're so big in the Balkans, though, that I don't want to limit it to American issues. But yeah, America's a great homeland. Very, very thankful to be born and raised here. No doubt about that whatsoever. But for our thick Balkan contingency overseas, I want them to know that we love them as well. I wonder if you saw the Snake Eyes Synchronicity video from a couple of months ago. I did. I don't make much of it. I don't think they were planning Charlie Kirk's death when he was 3 years old. I think that would be weird. Happy birthday, bro. You're a true legend, dude. Thank you, Richie Rich. Very kind of you. $50, bro. Thank you. Are you the one that emailed me and we had a little back and forth because you were a little esoteric in your emails? Your picture looks familiar. I think it was you, bro. But then you made it better because then you gave me I wrote back and I was like, hey, this sounds cool, but I have no idea what you're talking about. And then you wrote back again and you were kind of less esoteric, but it's still a little confusing. So I wrote you back one more time like, hey, final chance. You got to tell me what you're trying to tell me. Don't try to pique my interest. Just tell me. And then you wrote back like this super succinct summary, and it was amazing. And I started looking into it. Now you've given me a thread to pull on. If that was you, thank you. Thank you for the $50 as well. Very generous donation. Protocol Widow. Macron was at the White House on 2/24/25. Candace claims first call came within hours after he left. Detailed in suit per interview with Tucker. Yeah, that very well could be. I was just pointing out telephone calls. I wasn't pointing out personal appearances. Bird Whisperer. Well, that's an interesting title. I like crows. I don't whisper to a lot of birds. I had a bird growing up. I had a dove. I loved it. Name was Boomer. Boomer was an amazing dove. But we have these crows that actually I scared them off the other day. They'll hang around the house, and I'll get some raw cashews and throw them out there, or I'll get some what are the little white ones called? Macadamia nuts and throw them out there. Kind of an expensive treat for a wild animal. They're like $25 a bag, but you know. Happy birthday week, out of town, but on every break between family gatherings, I'm catching up on Barron. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the generous donation, and I'll have a great birthday week. Come hell or high water. Go Browns. Sorry in advance, Barron. Next Saturday, the OSU Buckeyes are going to beat your Hoosiers. Go Buckeyes. Very well could, but I am wearing the red and white Indiana hoodie. Y'all haven't even seen my Indiana hoodie collection. You just seen the Adidas hoodies. I've got a whole Indiana hoodie collection. I'd wear them. Cortez, Colorado has uranium mines. Yeah. Blanding has White Mesa uranium processing. Mm-hmm. Minot, North Dakota, has the only dual-wing nuclear-capable Air Force in the capable base in the Air Force. Could explain some of the weird Metaflight stuff. Loved you and the DCIA. Hey, I don't think any of the fixed-wing medevac made it to Minot, but the Egyptian planes did. Mad World, Baron, it's time to take that damn picture down now. My heart is broken as well. Put one up of Charlie. I always thought this, but didn't want to believe my discernment was right. You know, I've not concluded 100% that Trump was in on it. I'm just saying the evidence is there, and I think it needs a pretty thorough explanation at this point. Like, we need a genuine vetting of what it is that that the federal government knows about this, because it's not nothing. I don't believe it's nothing. I'm so thoroughly convinced it was not Tyler Robinson alone, and I'm so thoroughly convinced that someone in the federal government knows something, if not a lot of people in the federal government know something. But I can't take Don T down right now. I mean, come on, the president of the United States. Ian Caruso, thank you for the $20. Crazy fine with Macron's calendar. Candace said Trump claimed Macron made request he shut Candace up in person as he was walking up to his car plane. Can you speak to how you think that ties into the calls? Incredible work. No, I mean, I'm just showing you the calls, but there were 2 calls the week before Trump started sending people to Candace and then ultimately called himself. Like I said, I can't say what the content of the calls were. There's no readout. I couldn't find a readout in French. Couldn't read it if it was. I could have run it through Grok or Claude or somebody, I guess. But I wish Trump would give readouts of his calls, but he stopped doing that for whatever reason. Or I can't find where he's doing it. Maybe he's hiding them. But yeah, just because Trump claimed something to Candace doesn't mean I believe it. I mean, Trump just said the other day he's not going to heaven. Like, that's a pretty bold claim. He said, heaven, I don't think that's for me. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't tempt the big fella to be like, you know what? You're right. Thank you for your donation. Babatiso, $20. Thank you. Last week you said that if we don't speak up and defend Candace, who will be left to speak up for us? That hit me hard. Thank you for leading the way. Matthew 7:12. You're welcome. We do need to all speak up. We need to speak up for Candace. We need to speak up for all of this. And we need to stop lying. We need to insist the people around us stop lying. That I didn't explain the hat yet. There's too much lying going on. Too much lying coming out of the FBI. Too much lying coming out of the Attorney General's office. Too much lying coming out of the CIA and the NSA. Too much lying coming out of the office of the president. EOP has become just a den of thieves, basically. Do unto others what you'd have do unto you. This is the law and the prophets. Oh. Yeah, that's a good point. Jesus often has those. Thank you for your donation. Hey, Baron, love your show. Canuck Bucks. Rob McCoy was in Israel mid-July 2025 when the Google searches were taking place. I can send receipts. Please do. Please do. Would love to have them. Because, yeah, that's when the searches really kicked off in earnest. I mean, they started in mid-June and then really ramped up in mid-July. Like July 14th to 28th was the thickest part of the Google searches. Mail lady. Good to see you, Baron. Hope you're well. Does the plane I messaged you about correspond to any of those calls? I have to go back and look at it. I don't know off the top of my head. What is SEK currency? Oh, the Swedish krona. Have we been over this? Thank you for your donation. 6:45 Paris time equals 12:45 DC time on September 10th. Is that true? I thought it was later than that. I thought it was, let's see. Let's go to Grok. Grok knows stuff. On September 10th, what time was in DC if it was 6:45 p.m. in Paris? Yeah, 12:45. Whatever, close enough. Y'all are so picky. Then go with the first call. Go with the first call. Okay, so maybe that's the, hey, it's done. Thanks for the correction. I'm always open to it, particularly from foreigners. I like you foreigners and your foreigner cash. Anders Lovbrand. Did I pronounce that correctly, sir? I'd like to be sensitive. When asked about Candace's claims, Mrs. Macron replied cryptically, my Dixie wrecked. I should have seen that coming. Oh, that's the terrible thing to say to that. I should have anticipated that as a punchline. That's awesome. Ian Carroll show, SUBTT flew Cairo to Paris on September 3rd and stayed the night. Then Paris, Minot, Provo on September 4th, the same day of Macron's first September phone call. Then it left for Delaware the morning of the 10th, which is interesting. That's very interesting. See, this is why we need help. I can't do all this alone. I wouldn't have made that connection. Excellent. I'm trying to process that in my head right now. Cairo to Paris, September 3. Yeah. Excellent call. Excellent catch. Thank you. And thank you for the generous donation as well. The world's being saved by the kids that love doing homework and the one whose parents took too much Tylenol. Bitcoin donations are not subject to capital gain tax in Israel. Is that true? That's pretty wild if it's true. They shouldn't be. They're not currency. They're not securities either. So what are they? Let's see. 61A is any income derived from any source whatsoever. Isn't that the tax code? So all income is taxable. So I guess any gain, even if it's, I guess, man, I don't know. Viperman, $20 between Baron, Ian, Candace. The neutralization, sir, of Charlie Kirk will be solved. The truth will come to light. We're getting closer. I do feel like we're getting closer. Candace and Ian have done so much heavy lifting. I'm just here to provide any support I can. Track down a few more leads, bring them to the surface. You saw I brought a couple leads to the surface today, and boom, Ian's already drawing connections. His mom must have taken loads of Tylenol. Loads of Tylenol. If you just seen him grab that island in the ocean and know that that was Nauvoo or whatever it was called, you would believe that anything that can cause it caused it, because he's a geography whiz. That's all I can say. George Webb says uranium. Check him out. Yeah, we talked about that. I don't know if that's what it is or not. I don't know if that would have anything to do with Charlie Kirk, or if okay, so there's three options. Number one, Charlie Kirk had come across it and he was neutralized because of it. That's option one. Option two, it's totally unrelated, has nothing to do with anything, and that was just a routine medical flight. Maybe it was transporting people, but it's perfectly innocuous. Option three, maybe there's some nefarious stuff taking place with uranium, but it had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. And it's the most unfortunate thing in the history of the world, if you're running a conspiracy, that someone should die miraculously and conspiratorially near about the time you're also running a side conspiracy, and they're going to be conflated as involved with one another. That's like the worst case scenario if you're running uranium from Cortez to Blanding to Provo, that someone should be assassinated in Provo. That would be horrible, because no one would have ever found those flights if that's what it is. Simple Man. I'm never going to try to sing again, but there's a song, isn't there a song called Simple Man? About the mom's telling the son to just get a girl and stop being a weirdo. Don't forget to add the Boise flight to the list. Super Chat won't let me add details. Yeah, the Boise flight where the fighter jets escorted it, I can't find it on a radar anywhere. All I have is a video, and the video does seem to suggest that's what it is, but I can't find it landing. That's the problem with the Boise flight. Someone in the U.S. allowing these flights to take place, and if they're related to the military, either DJT knows or doesn't, which is worse. Stop lying. Precisely, stop lying. Yeah, I'm with you. Either he does or he doesn't. Just read, I've always thought that Susie Wiles was aware of CK's death. Could it be the call was made to the White House rather than Trump? They say no one can get past Susie. Did I hear Susie was on her way out? Did I hear that? Because I don't believe she's left yet. I think the world will be a safer place if she is. Who has served as the White House Chief of Staff? Yeah, she's still there. I don't know why he hired her. Baron, you're going to need your own private security after this podcast. You're not suicidal. That's correct, ma'am. I live a great life. God bless and protect you. Please, by all means. The more protection, the better. I feel protected because there are a lot bigger people covering this stuff than I am. And, you can't go after everybody, right? I mean, maybe you can. Candace said recently she indicated the phone call she got from Charlie Kirk and President Trump and the other person actually happened when Macron was Washington, D.C. meeting with Trump. That's what Ian Carroll was saying moments ago. And I believe Candace said that. I don't think you guys are wrong about saying that, but I mean, am I supposed to believe that Emmanuel Macron, like on a tarmac, offhandedly says, can you get Candace to stop talking about my wife's wang? It's a little embarrassing. And Trump's like, got it. And then he sent he calls Charlie, has Charlie text Candace, has Charlie call Candace. Then he has Sergio Gore approach her. Then all that because he offhandedly is like, hey, yo, bro, seriously. Candace is all over my wife's wang, and not in a good way. Can you get her to knock it off? And not in a good way. I don't know. I think it was more detailed than I think the phone call. I think the phone calls were related. I absolutely think the phone calls were related. If not both, at least one. Duncan Aviation, plausible deniability per John Cullen. That's the maintenance hub. Is he back? Has he come back yet? Is John Cullen back from his exile? His self-imposed exile, as far as I can tell. His last tweet was... No, he's not back. That was October. Man, he's been gone a long time. Is he okay? I hope he's okay. I like him. As much as I distrust the McCoys, yeah, you should ask the Hatfields about that. 45 seconds is longer than it may seem. The speed at which he regulated himself and dialed is crazier than 45-second calls. Agreed. Agreed, Amberly. Could not agree more. I don't think I could get a call out. And I love my wife. This is not a knock on her. I don't think I could get a call out to my wife about the death of anyone and get off the phone in under 45 seconds. I could test it right now, but I'm afraid she'd get upset with me if I did. But if I called her and was like, honey, I went to high school with this guy named Jimbo, and I just learned Jimbo died. I don't think I could get off the phone in 45 seconds. She's never heard of Jimbo. Jimbo doesn't exist. There's no one named Jimbo. That's a lie. They take my own advice. But I still think it'd be like, she'd be like, what happened? How did you know him? Where was he? Who told you? I mean, then boom, 45 seconds. It's got a ring too, you know? It's impossible. Pappy D. Trollinger. Sorry, I missed the beginning. I'll have to rewatch later. Keep up the good work. Please do. I thought it was an excellent opening. If I do say so myself, good sir. I thought it was excellent. Thanks for your donation. Very, very generous. You guys are so generous. Goose Bay is a military base in Newfoundland and Labrador. Someone being dropped off. I didn't know it was a military base. Well, I didn't know it was called Newfoundland and Labrador. Is that true? I got to look this up. Because this is mind-blowing if it's true. Sure as hell. Newfoundland and Labrador. Why would you name a place that? That doesn't even make sense. Newfoundland and like the dog? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why would you name a place after an okay breed of dog? That's ridiculous. I like your Canadians, the ones that listen to this program. But by and large, that's a weird place up there. Something's gone wrong that they would name a place Labrador. Would you name it Poodle? Pooley? Dachshund? I haven't caught Ian during live, but have either of you tried to cross-reference if these planes were on the ground at the same time, i.e. used for the same team to switch planes? They have been on the ground at the same time, yes. Absolutely. In Provo, I believe. But I'd have to go back and look to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that's true. Thank you, Laura Marie. Very, very generous and kind. Bronx Girl. I remember you, Bronx Girl. You haven't donated in a while. Red flag for me is the total disconnect from our government. This has bothered me from day one. Also, TPUSA, odd behavior, hand-holding with Trump, Vance Patel, and the animosity towards the questioners. That is the part that bothers me the most. The lying is the part that bothers me the most. I don't know if you're calling that a disconnect from our government. I'm calling it lying. It's just flat out lying. Kash Patel with the whole 33-hour nonsense when it was like 29 and a half. Lying. I mean, the whole pawning those text messages off as real. Lying. Lying. The whole thing, just all of it, so fake. And you know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. I almost did my monologue on this, but I think I'm going to do it Wednesday. I probably shouldn't tell you what my monologue's going to be Wednesday. You guys will tune in late. You guys familiar with the Mandela effect? I've got a whole monologue written on it. I almost did it tonight. The Mandela effect, where you like think Fruit of the Looms used to have a cornucopia and it never did, and you think some guy was in Shazam that wasn't in Shazam, and you think Mandela was dead and he was really alive. It's not like we've entered a parallel dimension. That's not what the Mandela effect is. It's that we are so propagandized that we are conditioned to accept propaganda. And when we're given propaganda, we go, oh, yes, sir, may I have more? May I have more, sir? And we just get told things are the way they are, and we just accept it because our brains, I don't want to do the whole monologue tonight. Tune in Wednesday. I'll talk about all this. Stop lying. Stop lying. Y'all didn't know I had these written ahead of time, did you? Where did the data come from that the Egyptian planes were following Erica Kirk, and who confirmed? The data came from Flight Radar, Plane Finder, ADBS Exchange. What else? You know how they say find it wherever you find podcasts? Find it wherever you find flight data. That's the data. Somebody cross-referenced those plane locations with Erica Kirk's locations. I have not. I'm not doubting it, but I'm not confirming it because I've not done it. Are my data sheets available for downloading? I could probably make them available for downloading, but they don't have any Erica Kirk stuff on them. If you want them, here's the easiest way to do this. Go back and rewind. Wait till we're done. Join us till we're done. But go back to the part where I covered it and I had the screen up and you could see all 9 Egyptian planes at once. Just look at them, go subscribe to Plane Finder or Flight Radar. I've got them both. Actually, I think I have flight data too. I've got another one. Hold on. What's this one? Yeah, plane finder, flight radar, flight aware. That's the other one I have. So I've got 3 different subscriptions. But just go find your favorite subscription and look it up, and then you can start to build it out. I do not have Erica's calendar. I don't know where that came from. I think one of Candace's followers or watchers came up with that calendar. I'm not sure where that came from. Here for the cat bids, you're going to be sorely disappointed, sir or ma'am. You will find no, well, I almost said something ugly. You'll find no cat shots here, young lady. The Paris airport does not have any commercial use. If it were cargo trotting around, it likely be Charles de Gaulle or literal military base. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay. I believe you. So what if it's not commercial and it's not military and it's not cargo? What the hell is it? Like what other type of plane do you need? I wasn't aware there was a 4th type of plane. Like interdimensional plane, space plane. PJ here. Thank you for the donation. Very generous. I want to give you a shout out. Thanks to your wife and kids. They are sharing you with us. Did you hear that, guys? They love you. They think you're great. They're not in here. You do awesome investigation and truth finding. Thank you for being a voice for us, true Americans. Thank you for your generous donation, and thank you for the kind words. I mean that genuinely. FYI, Macron was in Washington, D.C. February 21st. Noted. Uranium needed for powering nuclear facilities, particular in Ukraine. I mean, uranium is needed to power nuclear facilities all over the place, including Israel, including Egypt, including, do they have nuclear facilities in Egypt? Iran has nuclear facilities. France has nuclear facilities. Like there's no shortage of places that could use a little yellow cake. Not to mention all these data hubs, these data centers that are going up. They're talking about building their own nukes on site. Like mini nukes just to power the data center. You know how much yellow cake that's going to take if they go through with that? Yeah, stockpiling yellow cake right now would be like buying oil in 1885. You don't know what you're going to do with it, but you know it's valuable. You can light it on fire. If you can light it on fire, it's valuable. Wood, oil, gas. Thank you for your donation, Lynn Maria. Lynn Maria. Ivan's crazy. I agree. What a nutcase. Baron, Mikey was groomed at Godspeak. Rob's church took CUFI money that allegedly came through the same Epstein-tied banks. Patel just refused to subpoena. Doesn't that make Cash the cleanup guy? What is CUFI money? Let me look that up. Christians United for Israel? Is that what you're talking about? I don't know anything about it. I mean, I'm not doubting you. I just don't know anything about it. Rob's church took that money. Well, the Epstein-tied banks, there's a lot of banks that were tied to Epstein, right? Just because you use J.P. Morgan or, HSBC or whatever. I don't know if I'm following that. I appreciate the tip, obviously, and I appreciate the donation. But I don't know if I'm buying that one. Again, if you can show me that's Epstein money, that's different. But if it's just the same bank, lots of people, I mean, they probably have hundreds of billions of dollars in assets. Robert Maxwell used to be in the FFL. Man, what's up with you guys and your initials? Federal firearms licenses? Oh, let me look up Robert Maxwell. I don't think he had one of those. That says it's probably a typo. I don't know what FFL is. The only FFL I've ever heard is federal firearm license. Yeah, I wish I could help you. Lyman Bros flies medevac. Phil Lyman's brother flies medevacs. Is that true? Drives from campus after shooting. That's what I understood, is that he drove back that night. Gone till 11 p.m. Vid back at UVU. Oh, you mean drives from campus? But I just went across the street. I don't think maybe he didn't drive. Either way, back at UVU at 11. I saw that. Says then he went to Salt Lake City and returned. compare Maxfield Plain shell game he campaigned on. Boy, that's a lot in there, man, that's a lot to run down there. I like a juicy Phil Lyman story as much as anyone. That guy's weird. I'm sorry. The whole laughing in the face of Charlie getting shot was like, instantly I was like, nah, I don't like this guy. I'm not saying I don't like him, but I didn't like him at the time. Hey, did you see what happened to Charlie? No. That was too weird for me. And the fact that he doesn't know about his whereabouts and where he spent the night, that's weird too. Lynn Maria, what a great donation. Thank you. WTP, best alphabet organization ever, We the People. Thank you, Baron and Candace. Due diligence and curiosity make the world go round and round. Prayers for truth and justice and mostly peace. God bless. Thank you for the generous donation. Thank you for thanking me. And thank you also to the wide variety. I don't do this alone. I mean, the wide variety of people I draw information and inspiration from. So I read their stuff. It gets my wheels turning. I listen to their podcast. It gets my wheels turning. I hear something. I run it down. This is not a solo effort. I think Candace would probably say the same thing. Ian Carroll would probably say the same thing. Valhalla would probably say this. I mean, anybody, any of these people, probably all say the same thing. No one lives in isolation. We all build off each other. But thank you very much. Very, 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 very kind. We the people of the United States of America. So that is the world's first populist, nationalist, populist nationalist statement. They like to make fun of populism, we the people. They like to make fun of nationalism of the United States of America. Don't make fun of it. I'm not going into that tonight. Never mind. I almost said something. I'll do it another time. If I say it, you're going to be on the air till 2 o'clock in the morning. Because I'm not going to, once I get going, I'm not going to stop. That might be a Wednesday show. Mail lady, the John Cullen plane I emailed you about has capability to transport equipment with the ability to simulate flight paths. The Kovo with Grok I emailed you can be expanded and touches on many places mentioned, even right at the end. Yeah, I saw it. It was talking about the, I remember your plane. It was talking about the autonomous, were you the one that emailed about the autonomous weapon systems that could be deployed from this plane? I think that was you. I got it. I think my question is, were you talking about the Axel 10 plane he was talking about that flew over Utah Lake? Because if so, I don't, that is not one of the planes I'm looking at. That was its own weird plane, and John Cullen's looking at it. Now he's disappeared, so I'm probably not going to look at it. I kid. Jenny, thank you. Very kind. Andalusia, $50. Wow, you guys are amazing. Please get a meme pic when you're about to drop Pastor McCoy, like how Candace throws ET up with Brigitte. That always trips me out. I don't care if I've seen it 3 times that day. As soon as she puts Brigitte up, I laugh. It doesn't matter if I'm in the car. It doesn't matter if I'm on the toilet. It doesn't matter if I'm sitting in my office. It doesn't matter if I'm trying to covertly, discreetly watch while I'm in a meeting. I would never do that. As soon as ET pops up, I'm like, every time. I bet your listeners can come up with a banger idea. God bless you and your family. Who would be a good meme pick for Rob McCoy? I got one. Hold on. This might be too much. I'm going to get in trouble for this one. But it kind of looks like him. See if you guys know who this is. It kind of looks like him. Anyone? Oh, I gave it away. It's right there. Gold in my ear. That would be a good one. That's a good Rob McCoy lookalike. Could those suspect calls not just be him feeling DJT out for signs of him being suspicious before committing to an act of war? Could be. It is an act of war, ladies and gentlemen, to assassinate a foreign national on their home soil. End of story. In my opinion. If you have a problem with political ideology, you're racist and you can't be baptized here. Rob J.C. McCoy. Yeah, that's true. That's exactly what he's talking about. Oh, can I clear something up while we're talking about him? There was a lot of discussion about a plane crash in Texas and whether or not it was his brother because the guy shared a name with one of Rob's brothers, I think, or the guy had a brother named Rob McCoy. I think it's a different family. I've run that down. I looked at the obit. The Rob McCoy, who is the decedent's brother, has a different middle name than our Rob McCoy, Rob the Sailor Man. Totally different middle name. One's like Paul and one's something else. So I don't think they're the same. If I could be convinced otherwise, but I don't think they're the same. Courage is hope in action. You talking about Michael McCoy, sir? Michael McCoy? Rob, 2008 called. They want their shirt and pants back. He had, I did notice that. I didn't point it out today. The clip I played today with the white shirt, he has a black one of those. I've seen it. It's the exact same shirt. One's white, one's black. Now, I can't say much because I have about 12 of these of the same cut. So I can't say a lot about it, but look, you order me an Adidas Essentials hoodie in large, friends for life, friends for life. Try to get a color I don't have. I only have one more coming. I have one more coming. It's been delayed for like a month. Edge, $9.99. Not the Edge, not the one that played in U2, right? Different Edge. You previously mentioned that CK may have been collateral damage. Here you say casualty of war, but I wonder if they were making an intentional, not so veiled threat to others. Yeah, potentially. Potentially. Good comment. Excellent comment. Cheryl Wells, $10. I heard that the first time. Candace said people were watching, and that it was the first time people were watching a live stream. Yeah. Rob sure seemed to indicate he was watching. I think someone needs to drill him down on that. Were you watching it live? If so, why? Why were you watching it live? Where were you? Were you in Arizona? Were you in Utah? Who sent you the stream? Who was running the stream? Where did it come from? Which of the cameras? Which angle were you watching? Could you see Mikey? Could you tell what he was wearing? Had you talked to Mikey that day? Like, there's so many questions. If I could depose Rob, that's just like, that's my get to know you part of the deposition. Well, it'd get really intense if we kept going. Turek said Mikey called POTUS and Veep right after. I heard Veep. I did not hear POTUS. Thank you, Mandaby. Michelle Hebert. Hebert or Abear? I know there was the quarterback for the New Orleans Saints named Abear, Bobby Abear, and I went to school with some Heberts. Heberts, H-E-B-E-R-T. I think one of them may have gone to IU, actually, as well. Candace has done a deep dive on this. Check into the hospitals. Apparently, the hospital where Charlie went already had his records. How? Yeah, that's weird. If that's true, that's really weird. I haven't heard that. I'll look into it. Thank you. People in Rob's Club, church, and others like it. Walk out, leave, run. This is the evil the Psalms are speaking of. Evil, spelled backward, spells live. Run from evil and, it spells live. Run from evil and live. Oh, that's nice. Is that a preacher trick? You put it up on the board and it says evil, and you flip it around on the next slide and it says live, or live rather. And you say, if you flip evil around, you'll live. Oh, that's a nice one. I'd have been a great preacher. I had a conversation with a very dear friend of mine this week about that. If I wasn't Catholic, I'd be a great preacher. I mean, honestly, if Rob McCoy can get rich preaching the gospel, I'd be like Joel Osteen rich. I would have, a Bridgestone in Nashville. That's where my church would meet. I kid. I couldn't do it. I couldn't lie long enough. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Thank you for the sticker. Hey, Baron, it's your pasta eating buddy here. Vincent Matarazzo. Vincent Matarazzo. It's your pasta eating buddy here. You need to see what the podcaster Wolves and Finance drop about the tax info of a TPUSA. sending shells to Afonso to a shell company. I watched it. It's fantastic. Wolves in Finance done a great job. If you've not seen his podcast, go get it. After we're done, don't leave here. I feel a little bit like Blake Neff moving. So, and then we turned and I saw Mikey. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah, Wolves in Finance did a dynamite job. I might cover some of that on Wednesday. We'll give it a couple of days, see how it shakes out. Because last time he put up a video, everybody rushed out to cover it like 4 hours later. And then they realized there were some errors, which, not knocking Wolves in Finance, these IRS documents are tricky. But I don't want to cover errors, not on purpose, or not negligently. So I'm going to give it a couple of days. It's like you don't update your phone for a week or two after the new iPhone iOS comes out. You wait a little while before you run the update just to make sure they work the kinks out. Same thing. That's all. That's the reason I mentioned it tonight. So Michael McCoy was an Uber driver. I think that's how I met Charlie. Then gets his first professional job at TPUSA and changes his name to Mikey. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the whole Mikey switch is really weird to me. And I'm not going to give up on it. Like, this is a story. There's a story here. You don't infantilize your name when you're in your 20s on purpose. Like, if your name is Stephanie, when you're 23, you don't go by Steffi Fufu, right? You just don't. I'm sorry, you don't. And Mikey is the equivalent of Steffi Fufu when you're 23. Was he an Uber driver? Is that true? I thought he just drove Charlie back from Rob McCoy's church. Is he an Uber driver? I'll allow it. I don't know. Never forget that Bibi was the first world leader to address CK's murder at 4 a.m. Israel time, 4 o'clock a.m. Is that true? Is it 4 a.m.? Well, it seems awfully late. I thought it was like that was like 9 p.m. their time, maybe 10 p.m. their time. But he was first that I'm aware of. Adriana, $10 when Candace was running down the things TPUSA did for the first time that day. I think they live streamed it for the TPUSA office, but why would Rob be there? He never said he was at the office. That's my question. And if Rob wasn't there, who came in on the California flight to Provo? If that wasn't Rob, who was on that flight? If the McCoy's family depended on TPUSA for income, perhaps he's more willing to protect the payday than his friend if him, his kids, and his son worked there. Sons worked there. I think it was only one son worked there. If the McCoys depended on TPUSA for income, perhaps he's more willing to protect the payday. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Potentially. That's kind of dastardly that you'd give up a life to protect a paycheck. Does anyone consider Bibi made first statement? Yeah, we talked about that. Formal reply to USA to deny Israel diplomats in country didn't kill CK. Yeah, we talked about that. It's weird. It's weird. No shortage of people think that's weird. Redacted was one of the first in USA to report CK passing, if not first, and was around 1 hour, 45 minutes after Clayton had source at the hospital. I like Redacted. I like Clayton. He and his wife had a nice show there. It's a great show. Comes on like 3 o'clock our time. 3:02 p.m. on X, both Bibi and Trump post, we must pray for Charlie, who's been shot. Yeah, Phil Lyman beat him to it, but Phil was there. Elo, George Galloway said Bibi and Donald broke the news at the same time. We will try to find the video and email. Thank you, because I don't want to try to find it. Blue Cheer, thank you for the donation. That's amazing. Get those evildoers. Awesome channel. Thank you. I will. I'll try. I'll keep reporting as I find information. What do you make of the medevac plane being used for drug running and the stuff George Webb has uncovered about Blanding? Follow the money. Could be. I mean, if you're drug running, private airports and medevac business would be perfect business to be in. I'm not saying that's what they're doing. Don't get me wrong. But it would work. I mean, that'd be a really cool cover. Great show, dude. Keep up the good work. TJ, Kurt, thank you. Very, very, very friendly. Very generous donation. You guys, you make it worth doing this. I mean, honestly, I put in a lot more hours than I did back when nobody donated. A lot more. So you're getting much higher quality content than you otherwise would. What does the T stand for? Instagram thread said Michael T. McCoy. I thought I heard Mikey was his middle name. I think it's Thomas. Michael Thomas McCoy. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it's Thomas. Or it could be Mikelt McCoy. I think it's Michael Thomas. Super sticker. Thank you. Man, $49.99 super sticker. That's incredible. I've never donated that much without something to say. So you've now become better than me. Super sticker, $20. I don't think I've ever donated $20 without something to say. Well, you go to church. You write the big checks at church. But thank you, Mary Catherine. Very, 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 very kind. Full ambiance. $5. I visited UVU yesterday. I was at the building he jumped off to the other side of Provo to pick up kids within 20 minutes. Oh, you're saying Provo's easy to get around on. Yeah, but you weren't leaving also at the same time a shooting took place and everybody had to leave at once. But again, I get your point. It's a small town. I was shocked when I found out how close Provo and Orem were. They're basically the same town. Maybe someone needs to check the Salt Lake City hotel Mikey stayed at with his Egyptian rental cars. I am not claiming Mikey had Egyptian rental cars. I am claiming there was a Toyota RAV4 in that parking lot. That's pretty obvious. There also was a Toyota RAV4, I believe a white one, in the parking lot. All right. I'm going to end up giving you Wednesday's show, and I don't want to do that. Come back Wednesday. We'll talk about it. Come back Wednesday. We'll talk about it. I got a Phil Lyman statement. I've got another video clip I want to play, and I want to tie it to that Ryan Matta clip I just played and the Egyptian rental cars that Candace was talking about. I want to put it all together because I think there's evidence that the guy we saw running across the roof was not the shooter, and that we'll talk about it. My favorite part of these live streams is knowing the boys from TPUSA are here with us lurking. Hi, boys, taking notes. Are they? If so, I kind of feel bad about some of the stuff I've said about Mikey. If he's listening, I feel bad. I mean, not really bad, but maybe a little. Mikey, why'd you change your name? That's all I want to know. All I want to know. I'll back all the Flintstones comment if you just tell me why you changed your name. Go Max. Thank you. Thank you. Very generous donation, and I will indeed. Did you read my email from Friday regarding Trump pardoning Lyman and Lyman's connections to air ambulances? I did. If you don't have it, please confirm your email address. My email address is easy. realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. I'll go back to my commercial voice. I was the voice of Mattress Firm for a short period of time. Save money, sleep happy. I had a good time with that. Yeah, I read your email. It's not his brother's connection. I think it's his brother-in-law's connection, if I'm not mistaken, to the air ambulance. And it's not this company's air ambulance. It's a different company's air ambulance. And I saw the Trump pardon of Lyman, but that had to do with like some trespass on federal land or something. That wasn't air ambulances. Happy birthday. You never disappoint, sir. Jamie, I've disappointed people in the past. Stick around long enough. You might end up disappointed. Hiker, Jerusalem Post reported he passed at 12:54 Mountain Time. That's 31 minutes. Can you send me a link to that, sir? Ma'am? Sir? Send it to realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. That would be great. I would appreciate that. Super sticker, thank you. LSD? Wow. LS Yed? That's where we're going? I celebrate the entire month. Happy birthday. I don't do birthday week or birthday month. I saw a commenter earlier said that, and I kind of rolled with it. But it's a birthday. It's a birthday. You don't get 1/52nd of the year. You certainly don't get 1/12th of the year. That's not fair. Not to mention, I have to celebrate in the month our Lord and Savior was, well, we celebrate he was born. Probably, maybe not, but we celebrate it. I got to share that month. Not to mention, I have other birthdays in the family, several other birthdays in the family. So, hey, I can't get too greedy with the birthday. Lynn Maria, thank you. Dubois, thank you. Oh, my goodness. Dre Latina, very generous donation. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. God understands our anxiety. That's true. The final prayer in Catholic Mass, deliver us, Lord, from every evil and grant us peace in our day. In your mercy, keep us free from sin and protect us from all anxiety as we wait in joyful hope for the coming of our Savior, Jesus Christ. I feel a little like a priest saying that. I've never heard anyone but a priest say that until right this moment. I've said it in my head 1,000 times. That's not the final prayer of Mass, though. That's the final prayer after the Our Father, right? That's the prayer between the Our Father and the doxology, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't go to seminary. Maybe you did, Dra Latina. But I'm pretty sure that's the prayer between the Our Father, deliver us from evil. Deliver us, Lord, from every evil and grant us peace in our day. I say it in my head when they do it. I know it is. And then you go to the doxology after that. 1999, thank you. 4 bar high. 4 bar high. 4 bar high. What is a bar? 4 bar high. I don't know what that means. 13E and 1ER Brigade. French Legion based out of NNW, Africa. Go to protection of Rothschild's assets in region, 2011. Epstein Barak links there. Jet transponders going dark over Cairo southbound to Djibouti. Jeddah Legion style. That sounds scary. I'll be honest with you. I'm scared just reading that comment. Like, I feel like I've jeopardized my safety just knowing that comment exists. Let me pull it down. Thank you for the very generous donation. Officer Tatum back in Candace makes me think Feds, our best ally, might have planted this French Legion story as a red herring to throw her off of our best ally and later embarrass her when disproven. That's not a bad thought. I mean, you always have to be careful and cautious. But that doesn't mean if you, this goes back to my, I think 2 or 3 shows ago when I said, hey, number one, do we believe her that someone contacted her? I believe someone contacted her and told her that. The veracity of the person sending the message is not an issue to me. Step one, do I believe Candace received a call that said those things? Yes. Step 2 then skips the person calling and goes to the federal government. Feds, investigate. Investigate. Period. End of story. Slammin' Hammy. Is that supposed to be Slammin' Sammy Sosa? Harpole said in an interview that you shared. That's kind of like my 5-year-old says stuff like that. Shared. Harpole said in the interview that you shared it that he first heard the gunshot, then he heard this bullet slap Charlie. That would suggest a subsonic round. We love your content. We talked about that night. And thank you for the compliment. And thank you for the donation. Do you guys understand how I'm just eyeballing these right here? Now, this is not a commercial, but this is that gummy I was talking about I get from Target, Yum Earth, Sour Littles. They're like a healthy I don't know healthy. They're all sugar, but they don't have corn syrup. They're a healthy version of Sour Patch Kids. And every time I look over at my water, I have a little pack, and there's, I think, 5 or 6 of them in here. 50 calories. And every time I look over there, all I can think of is get the hell off the air so you can eat that pack. I'm not going to smack in the microphone. But I'm just dying to get a hold of this little pack of 6 gummies. Yeah, I heard that. We talked about that day. The day of the Harpole interview, the day we covered it. We did talk about that. And we even talked about the time that it would suggest a subsonic round. Now, you'll remember, if you guys are longtime listeners, my initial suspicion was he was shot with a subsonic round. Because it didn't decapitate him. That would suggest a low impact round, an impact arriving with significantly less force. Otherwise, he would have painted the back of the tent. Thanks for a donation. Very generous. $20. Apologies if you went over this. Did Alley Files have the Rob McCoy clip you wanted to show before he pulled it from YouTube? I have that clip. I have lots of his clips because someone emailed them to me. So I don't know if Alley Files has that. but I do have that. If you'll remember, the reason I haven't shown it is because there are some copyright issues that are mitigated when you run things directly from YouTube. Now, I understand fair use and copyright and all that, but that doesn't stop people from making claims, and it doesn't stop you from having to deal with the headache. And I'm a talented enough broadcaster that what I did was I pulled up the transcript and read directly from it. The jump was a different day. The shot would have been too loud there. No, that's not true. It's the same day. I'm also in Google searches from Israel too a few years ago. Unique name. The jump, you're talking about the jump from the Losi Center to the ground? No, it was the same day, and I can prove it two different ways. One is there was the aerial overhead footage from the surveillance plane that took place before. We have that footage, and it matches the cars that were in the parking lot when the guy jumped. Now, you could say, perhaps, that the overhead surveillance footage was actually on a different day, but flight records, publicly available flight records don't suggest that. So they suggest that surveillance footage was taken that day. I posted that on I found that on X, and I posted it on a previous video 6 or 8, maybe 10 episodes ago. So that's one way I double checked it to make sure it was the same day. The second way is if you go to Life is Driving in like 40 minutes, 50 minutes, when he goes behind the Losi Center into that parking lot, you can compare the cars that are there with the cars that are there from the footage of the guy jumping off of the same cars. It's just the amount of construction to have, 50 cars lined up in the parking lot in the exact same places on 2 different days. Impossible. Adam Sosnick on PBD Pod saying Candace Owens doesn't have any famous friends left is very telling of how shallow values and low IQ some people flat out suck. I've not heard that. Adam Sosnick. If it helps, I don't know who that is. I know who PBD is, but I don't know who Adam Sosnick is, so he's not very famous. Wouldn't care. 2, I think Candace does have some pretty famous friends, but 3, even if she didn't, what difference does that make? Like, is that how you navigate life, Sosnick? What courses do you have to take to accumulate famous friends? Because that's a really shallow way to navigate life. I need to find that clip. I'm taking a picture of that. That disgusts me. That really bothers me. If that's true, that bothers me. That you would judge the quality of their life based on the fame level of their friends. That's ridiculous. Has anyone checked to see if the Gray Dodge Charger was rented in the area that week? That's a good question. That's a great question. Thank you for the donation. Nobody in the plot is worried because they know DC has their back. We could have 4K video of the real shooter in the act, but nobody other than Tyler will ever be arrested for this. Sadly, I tend to agree. That probably no one else will be held accountable. In all likelihood, Tyler will die in jail or plead guilty, and they'll close the case. But that doesn't mean we stop investigating. We keep looking for the truth. They're lying. We want them to stop lying. We still look at who could have. I mean, we're still asking for the JFK files 60 years later, 62 years later. We still want to see the MLK files 57 years later. Like, we don't stop. I mean, I still want to see the RFK files. And that was in 65. What's that, 60 years later? I still want to see those. June of 65? Or June of 64, 61 years later. That doesn't mean we stop asking. And this is different because for those deals, we had to wait. We have to wait on people. We don't have to wait. We can do our own investigation in real time. We may solve it whether someone else gets arrested or not. How do we help, as in what tools, sites, apps, where to begin? Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. That's the song I was thinking of. How do we help? Just join in. I don't know. Just join in. Like, you can track planes. You can just scour news archives. You can scour X that has real-time reporting. I don't even know, man. I don't even know where to begin. Grab somebody's timeline that's got a timeline put up. Look at photos. Rewatch videos. Look for anything suspicious. One of the things I did one day, it took me hours. I took a 10-second video or a 20-second video I found on of the shooting, and I watched it. However many people were in that video, I watched it one time, 1/22nd time all the way through for every one of those people. And I made a note, red shirt, blue hat. Where did he go? Boo, boo, boo. He walked behind the tent. This guy ducked, turned around and ran. Like every single person in there, I made notes on where they went. Somebody had to do it. Man, it's not going to do it to sell. No one's going to. AI is not going to do it. It's not going to do it. No one else is going to do it for you. So if there's something you're curious about, find it. Let me know when you do, because I want to talk about it. For people that don't know, Susie Wiles worked on Netanyahu's campaign. I think most people knew that. Lutnick, Epstein's next door neighbor. I'm sure that's a coincidence. Hey, man, rich people tend to live around rich people. I mean, it might not be a coincidence. Maybe they're into some cahoots together, but rich people tend to live around rich people. America First, $9.99. I really enjoy your show. I really enjoy your donation. Thank you. Just curious, would you ever consider putting Charlie on the wall behind you? Hope you have a happy birthday. Yes, but not now. You'll notice these are all in black and white. Significant time has to pass. The only living one is Donald Trump. I don't know. Is Rosa Parks dead, isn't she? She has to be dead. Yeah, she died 20 years ago. The only living one is Donald Trump, and he's a president. So you kind of, they've been vetted, you know. How do I say this? I still have my concerns about some of the people that work at TPUSA and how they got there. Just like I have those same concerns about a lot of people who work in Washington, D.C. and how they got there. I frankly have my concerns of how an 18-year-old convinced Foster Freeze to give him a bunch of money and how he convinced a bunch of other people to give him millions and millions and millions of dollars. In my opinion, all that hadn't been vetted. So, yes, I would consider it, but not today. There's a lot more we need to investigate before today. I had someone email me, and they could tell what I was saying when I say I have suspicions about a lot of the people that work at TPUSA. And they said I should just come out and say it. And I might. I might say it one day. For people that don't know, Susie, I just covered that. Love your show. Those areas like Blanding and Cortez are my neighbors. Hello from Monument Valley, Kayenta. Hey, Kayenta is one of the stops for the airplane. The Cortez to Blanding airplane, one of the stops it makes frequently is Kayenta. Just yesterday, it went to Salt Lake City from Cortez, Salt Lake, and back to Cortez, which is a very unusual flight for that. I don't know that flight has ever taken place that I was able to find, but it took place yesterday. Right after I started talking about it 2 days ago, and then George Webb started talking about it yesterday, and all of a sudden it's breaking patterns. Cheers to the fun birthday week, Baron. Is birthday week a thing? Like, is that something a lot of people do? Sean Funfar. I can't do a birthday week. I don't even drink. What am I going to do for a week? Like, you only can, like, streamers, a silly string. I can only do so much. Confetti? I mean, how many times can you do that? I'm not a very fun guy, I guess. Inner umpire. Is that like the Inland Empire? Inner umpire? $5. Thank you. Payne Revere. Is that like Thomas Paine and Paul Revere? You think highly of yourself, sir. $20. If this weren't fake, Erica would have fired Harpole and Gang ASAP and then sued his firm for negligence. Easy, big insurance settlement, and Utah AG and Orem DA should have charged Harpole for criminal negligence. I don't know about that last sentence, but I think Erica probably has a pending cause of action. Not pending, meaning she's filed it. I think she has a live issue should she ever pursue it. I do believe that. And I've thought of that. I don't know why she didn't. Maybe there were releases signed. I don't know. But I wouldn't feel comfortable with them guarding her. I think she's in extreme danger as long as those people are guarding her. I do believe that. What time is it in Utah if it's 21:15 in Israel? You're talking about on September 10th? September 10, Israel time. What did you say? 10:15? 9:15? 9:15? 9:15 p.m. What time in Utah? I don't know. I looked at the wrong search engine, apparently. Man, you get so used to one that you learn how to talk to it, and then you don't. All right, so now I'm going to go to my preferred search engine here. That would be 12:15 p.m. in Utah, same day. 12:15 p.m. in Utah, same day. Nauvoo is a Mormon thing. Is it really? I thought it was a planet in Star Wars. Is that true? I read part of the Book of Mormon, maybe a big chunk of it. We had some more. When I was at Auburn, we had some Mormon missionaries that we made friends with. Cool story. I don't know if I could tell this whole story, actually. Let me think through it. I'll tell parts of it. We had some Mormon missionaries we made friends with, both the gentlemen and the women. And, by the end of the summer, they were drinking Dr. Pepper. They were going swimming with us. All things they're not supposed to do as missionaries. Like, they're supposed to wear the suit, no caffeine. We all jumped in the car and drove and went around and looked at Christmas lights. Like, they're not supposed to do any of that. We hung out at their apartment. Totally not supposed to do any of that. Well, one day I'm at the apartment. I'm looking at this girl, and I'm like, wait a minute. Where are you from? She's like, oh, we're not allowed to say that. And I'm like, are you from Jackson, Tennessee? And she froze. And she was like, what? And I was like, I played a baseball tournament in Jackson, Tennessee in 1994. This was like 98, 99. This is only a few years later. And I was like, and we had some girls that visited us at the hotel. Were you one of them? And she was gone the next day. And I was like, where did that girl go? And they're like, hey, as soon as somebody recognizes them, they are shipped out overnight. And I was like, are you kidding me? But she was gone, dude. I forgot about that story until you said that. Nauvoo is a Mormon thing. Yeah, it could be where it could be seated in the back of my head somewhere. They did give me a Book of Mormon. I don't think I still have it. No, I know I don't still have it, but I did read parts of it. You should patent a hat that uses Velcro patches so you can switch the message from day to day. I don't think I could patent that, but I could certainly make it. And but then I would have to make patches too. And I've got a bunch of these now going. Someone emailed or texted or commented today, I don't remember which, that they did not like the hat shtick, so I may go away from that. I like it. Sends a message right there on the top. And if you want to advertise, you can buy this slice right here for $5,000 an episode. I'll let you have it. Harpole in an Sean Ryan show interview claims Charlie Kirk was off the ground in 15 to 16 seconds. Yeah, that's about right. Can we confirm, help Mikey call log, timeline, or did Brian Harpole lie? No, I ran the clock, and again, some of those clips you can tell they're sped up or slowed down. I did run the clock, and that sounds about right. I thought it was like 13 to 15 seconds, but 15, 16, I'll give him that. And then it was like another 20 seconds or so to the car, and then maybe 6 or 8 getting them in the car, and then they were gone. So yeah, it was less than a minute, and the car was going from the shot. So it was enough time for Mikey to get on into the parking lot. Or get down that pathway wherever he ended up. Wherever Blake Neck Speed got out in front of him, had to stop and turn around. Cindy Yates, French Foreign Legion. Aha! That's right, FFL, not a federal firearm license, the French Foreign Legion. Now I can't remember what that comment said. Who was in the French Foreign Legion? Who did you say? I can't remember who it was. I have to go back and find that thing just to connect the dots now. Here's why they want uranium. Energy Fuels is actively developing a new process at White Mesa in Blanding, Utah to recover different radioisotopes for a new class of cancer treatments called targeted alpha therapy. Who's they? They, sir, ma'am, Peggy's place. I've been informed they is anti-Semitic. We don't say they on this program. Rob McCoy will kick us out of his church. We don't do plural pronouns, not on this show. This is not that kind of place. What are you going to be goose stepping next? They. Here's why they want uranium, whoever they is. We know what you mean when you say they. Good call, though. I did not know that that was taking place at White Mesa. Oh, it would have to be white, wouldn't it? They, white. I get what you're doing here. I'm surprised you didn't work in yellow cake, huh? It's very possible the camera removed from behind Charlie K was a low-caliber air weapon. I don't think so because I've got super, super high-def image of it. And that would shock me if they could make it look like this. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. So this is the very high-quality imagery of the camera. And I would be stunned if they could make that into a weapon. This is I don't want to steal the credit here. This is Charles McClintock Wilson, a very talented photographer who captured this image. But that looks to me like a camera, and that to me looks like a battery. So I'm not saying there wasn't some crazy rigged something going on back there that might, but I don't think it was either of those two items. But thank you for the donation. And hey, just because you're proven wrong doesn't mean you didn't learn. Happens to me every day. If this weren't a setup, TP and Harpole would have held this indoors at the UCCU Center. They could have controlled ingress and egress and had 100% screening with metal detectors, bag check, etc. of attendees. Someone emailed me about the security procedures they had in place at Utah State, that supposedly these procedures were put in place before the UVU event took place, so Charlie Kirk would have still been alive, and they were substantially more enhanced than what took place at UVU. I also read where the FBI was on the scene, I think Kash Patel said, within 16 minutes. Where the hell were they stationed? Like in the library? How could they get there that fast? Lots of questions. Donna Marie, thank you. Donnie and Marie, I see what you're doing there. You're a fan of oldies. Sloth from the Goonies. What are you talking about, bro? I have no idea what you mean by that. Oh. Who would be a good Rob McCoy? Sloth from the Goonies. That might be good. Just use Popeye the Sailor Man. That was my first instinct. You've mocked my comment about Candace's website. 0 videos are available to me in California or Alaska. Only the store is available. Did I mock your comment? I certainly didn't mean to. Oh, hello, Rangix. I didn't mean to do. I would never mock you. Particularly in the Coast Guard. You can't. Can you see it? See that picture up there on the top shelf, right under the IU golf thing? It looks like a man there in a basketball uniform, black and white picture. That is my grandfather in his Coast Guard basketball uniform. I would not mock you in the Coast Guard, sir. 0 video, but I don't know what you mean by that. 0 videos are available to me in California or Alaska. Only the store is available. I don't know what you mean, but I'm not mocking you. I just don't understand. I sent you a couple ME emails about Mikey saying he was screaming as he was walking away. Not sure if you got to them yet. I did, and I agree with you. I also heard conflicting reports on whether Mikey was screaming on the phone with his dad or whether he was calm like the general. But again, at a certain point, we're just piling on. You know what I mean? At a certain point, we're just like making fun of Mikey to make fun of him. And I don't think he needs that. Like, that's not who I am. I don't make fun of people just to make fun of them. Not all the time. Reverend Kane from Poltergeist for meme of Rob McCoy, or Reverend Lovejoy from The Simpsons. Certainly not Reverend Lovejoy. Reverend Lovejoy had game, if you remember. You remember that. I don't know. Reverend Lovejoy may still be on. But Reverend Lovejoy had game. I cannot imagine Rob does. As far as our best ally picking a friendly venue, Utah settlers believe they were setting up a new Zion. Half the state is named after places in the Levant. Mormons love three-letter intel agencies. I've heard all of that. I've heard it all and more. So I agree with you. Kelly Wilkie, $20. Thank you. Very generous. I think that's the first time I saw that convo with MK and Frank T, where he mentioned how the great, Megyn Kelly and Frank Turek, where he mentioned how the great Mikey McCoy showed up, just ick. So desperate to install him as a replacement. I can't believe you hadn't seen that because it's made the rounds. But hey, let me tell you something. It gave me the ick the first time too. I felt very icky. I can't help it. I don't, I've never referred to my friend, any friend, with a superlative like that, or even just an adjective in general. Like, even if I'm making fun of him, I'm never like the dingbat, Roger, you know, or not. I don't, I do know someone named Roger, but I wasn't thinking of him. I'm just saying, like, I was just picking a random name, but like the amazing Bill. Why would I do that? That's weird. That's totally weird. That's overcompensating. It's like the people that post how great their wife is on Facebook every day. Yeah, we know. You're overcompensating. You're hiding something. What are you hiding, sir? Great live as always, Baron. Thank you, Alpaca Renee. Very kind. The Macron-Trump phone calls makes my heart ache. Again, agreed. DJT lost me when reporters asked him how he was doing after Charlie was murdered, and he said, sad, how about the ballroom construction? That was a weird moment. He lost me, honestly, when he said, are you still talking about the Epstein files? Yeah, I am. Still talking about them. It's heartbreaking because for like 10 years, he's been someone that we thought we had finally gotten installed as the president, that we all believed we would never get past the establishment. We thought we finally had put one of us in the White House. And then he started naming people like Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Bobby Kennedy, Marty McCary, you know, and hell, Pete Hegseth. Like, we thought we finally had broken through, and we finally, no more Bush, no more Clinton, no more Biden, no more Obama, no more globalists, no more deep state. That, oh, well, the first go round, he didn't know, he was naive, he wasn't, and we finally thought this was the time. And the great dismantle, he had nothing to lose. He didn't have to run for election again. He was a one-termer. And we really believed that Donald J. Trump was going to be the guy. Are you still talking about the Epstein file? Yeah, we're still talking about the Epstein file. Yeah, we are. And we're still talking about him. Because you campaigned on him, and your son campaigned on him, and your FBI director campaigned on him, and your deputy FBI director campaigned on him. Yeah, we're still talking about him. We're definitely still talking about him. Webb saying planned false flag to get Americans to buy into Iron Dome cities across the U.S. Yellow cake involved. Well, that would be terrifying. Yeah, you can do a lot with yellow cake. It doesn't have to be made into weapons-grade material. Make a nice dirty bomb. It's not the Iron Dome, though. I thought the U.S. plan was the Golden Dome. That was the Golden Dome. That technology is going to be pricey. Info from Wolves and Finance. I talked about that, Mr. P.G. Whitaker. Wolves and Finance did a great show. Charlie may very well have been in the dark. And they might have been siphoning millions of dollars off. I mean, that's kind of what he was hinting at, right? I don't know that for a fact because I wasn't there, and I'm not saying that. It's just that's what Wolves and Finance seem to be opining on, and I'm just telling you that that's my opinion of what I thought his opinion was. You guys stay away from me. OMA equals Stratcom. LNK equals UNL, Strategic Research Institute. MOT, Minot Air Force. I knew that. Wichita, McConnell Air Force Base. All four have heavy intelligence presence, like Randy Fine levels of Oh, you're explaining why is Egypt in Omaha? Why is Egypt in Lincoln? Why is Egypt in Minot? Why is Egypt in Wichita? I did not know that, but I did know those Egyptian planes tended to go to the same places. Omaha, Lincoln, Wichita, and Minot. I will look that up because if so, Ian Carroll, if you're still listening, here's the next thread to pull on. If that's true, again, by sheer happenstance, we might be pulling on a thread. Maybe we're finding yellow cake moving. I don't know. Maybe we're finding illegal people moving. I don't know. Maybe we're running guns. I don't know. But we've got Egyptians in all these intelligence places. Is the U.S. I mean, we got all these threads we can pull now. This is great. Elvis Butterworth. And not just because your name is Elvis Butterworth. Cindy Yates, you're back. Happy early birthday. I had 3 sons born in December. That's a tough month to have a birthday, I'll be honest. Love the show. Always look forward to it. Sounds like a collusion between our greatest ally and president and first man of France. First man. You're talking about the husband of the hog? Thank you for the donation. BB being the first to announce Charlie Kirk's passing was no mistake. He was claiming the hit and rubbing his proverbial blanks in our faces. I did it. I'm not hiding it, and there's zero you'll do about it. Well, that last part's true. It doesn't matter whether he did it. You remember Donald Trump when he was running for office the first time said, I could run down to Fifth Avenue and blast somebody in broad daylight. They wouldn't do anything to me. That's a little how I feel about what's going on in the Middle East right now. Just a little how I feel. Thank you for the donation. What happened to the Bitcoin show? It's coming. It's coming. I anticipated the Charlie Kirk stuff would slow down. I didn't know it was going to speed up. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Y'all are going to be disappointed now. Maybe I oversold it. It's like when someone comes to visit, you're like, dude, we had the best pizza place. Like, oh, I got a good pizza place at home. You're like, no, seriously, it's the best place you ever love. It's the greatest pizza place of all time. You're going to love the pizza place. And then they go eat, and they're like, it's okay. Like you oversold it. If you'd have said, let's go get pizza. This place is okay. They'd have been like, oh, my gosh, this is amazing pizza. Why didn't you tell me it's such good pizza? Over-deliver, undersell, over-deliver. Maybe I got that backwards. Alpaca Renee, $20. Did any of the planes go near the explosives factory that was destroyed, 10-3 in Tennessee, after Charlie's murder, where the Israelis ordered the micro-explosive charges to be delivered end of August? I don't know that those were Israelis that ordered the micro-explosive charges, but there were micro-explosive charges ordered. That was on USA spending, so that would indicate it was a USA contract. I don't know what they were for. I have not seen any of the planes anywhere near Tennessee. Not the Egyptian planes. I've seen a lot of planes near Tennessee, but not the Egyptian planes. Good question, though. If they come here, I'll be freaked out because I live here. Ex Nihilo, normalize identifying and naming they who were likely bullying Charlie. Then you list a whole bunch of people that, in your opinion, might have been bullying Charlie. I've not checked this out. Bernie Marcus, Uline family, Decent family, Wilkes brothers, Bradley family, Devos, Prince, all TP donors, all known Zionists. Yeah, I mean, we should normalize that. I honestly have not done a lot of digging into who the donors were. I've done some, but not a ton. PR Baker 3. Couldn't be here for the beginning. Backed up and listening to your stellar monologue. Thank you. 2.5 hours in. Looks like I'll be up late. That's fine by me. Happy upcoming birthday. Sorry to keep you up so late. I just wanted to be able to get through all these. You guys spend money and you send them to me. I want to read them. And I know me. If I log off, I'm not going to read them. That's not true. If I said I was going to read them, I would. But I don't mind staying up. I used to work at the FBO in Wichita. Regularly saw the Egyptian airplanes back in 2017. An explanation why they might go to Duncan Aviation could be for customs, maintenance, or multiple FBOs. I would love to get an email from you about that. Ike Anderson. RealBaronPodcast@gmail.com. RealBaronPodcast@gmail.com. Or anyone else who works at an FBO where these Egyptian planes stop. Find out if Paul Lewandowski and with Duncan Aviation is kin to Corey Lewandowski. Paul Lewandowski. That's a kind of a random name, right? If I don't hit it quick, I'm gonna move off of it, but I'll check. I don't see anything super quick. Yeah, I'll have to look at that. I'm leaving that tab up if that tells you anything. That'll remind me to look at it when I see that tab later. Would it be something if Mrs. Macron used to be Jeffrey Epstein? That'd be weird since they were both alive at the same time. Or both, like publicly aware and in public at the same time. Happy birthday, Baron. Mine is tomorrow, 67. Happy birthday, Susan. I mean that. Happy birthday, December 1st. That's your birthday, not mine. I don't want to steal your birthday. Crawley, 4919. Crawley R, 499. I just emailed you, Adam from PBD Clip on Candace. Doesn't even have famous friends. Show it. Let's laugh at him. Also, caution, folks regarding George Webb. I don't like or dislike George Webb. I've never closely followed him. I am, of course, aware of who he is. I'm aware of his work. I can neither vouch for him nor speak out against him. I don't, like I said, I don't follow him closely enough to know whether his work is good or bad. That's up for you to decide. But I enough people sent me that video that I did watch part of it. And he gave me information I didn't know. I had no idea there was yellow cake in Cortez. I had no idea there was a processing facility in Blanding. And if you see a plane going from a manufacturing place to a processing place, it's natural to wonder whether there's any material on the plane. But I'm not going to do that tonight because we've already been going for 3 hours and 15 minutes. But I will do it perhaps next time because I'm curious about that clip. I think that's very sad. If that's his idea of success is how many famous friends you have, that's very sad. You know, if you could have even just 5 good friends, like 5 friends you could call if you really needed something, 2 a.m. 5 friends you could call and say, hey, can you pick me up tomorrow at 6 a.m.? I've got to go to the doctor and it's a very important deal. Could you be there for me? If you have 5 people like that, you're blessed. You live a great life. And if no one on earth has ever heard of any 5 of them, who cares? Who cares? Famous people are just people. Tel Aviv is a 75-minute flight from Cairo. They, are you being anti-Semitic, sir? They used Egyptian planes in Cairo origin for cover. It's just weird that they keep flying out for events instead of having their agents stay here. Well, we don't know. Maybe they're transporting I don't know. That's interesting. I have heard that there's suspicion that I think Ian was covering that. Suspicion the logs had been tampered with and maybe they were going other places. I think he was covering that. Maybe I misheard him. They can only fly with uranium for around 66 minutes for use in TAT, hence short flights. Why could you only fly with uranium for 66 minutes? Uranium. Why could? What is it? Is it something with the way it breaks down? Oh, targeted alpha particle therapy. Maybe it wouldn't be pure enough if it was exposed to enough cosmic radiation, I guess, in the plane. But those would be short flights. Those would be short flights. That's interesting. You guys know a lot more than I do. You guys are smart. Everything as big as TP is infiltrated by the CIA. It reminds me of the old joke. If you're at a white supremacist meeting and there are 50 people there, that means there are 49 federal informants and you. Yeah. I imagine Talking Points is, or I used to call it that. Turning Point is infiltrated. I imagine it is. You're probably right. You discovered the lies by the overseasoned vocabulary. You've done your law teachers proud. Well, thank you. I didn't know my vocabulary was overseasoned. But thank you. Very generous donation there. Keep wearing the hat. It clearly spells your message of the day. Plus, it's fun. Ignore the haters. I ignore all haters. Adrian Jedden. Maybe I'll do some with the hat, some without. I like this one because these SOBs are lying to us, and I'm getting sick of it. They have to stop lying. They have to stop lying. We have to stop electing people who go to Washington, D.C. and lie to our faces. We have to stop putting people in charge of the FBI who go to Washington, D.C. and lie to our faces. We have to stop putting people in charge of the Attorney General's office who go to Washington, D.C. and lie to our faces. It has to stop. It has to stop. Stop lying. Particularly when someone we respected dearly is nearly decapitated, shot in the neck. Don't lie to us. The things we voted for him for, Baron. I know you see it, and I know you may not want to pull that picture off your wall, but you know it's sad. It is sad. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. I genuinely thought we were getting something else, particularly on this second administration. I genuinely thought we were getting something else. And, gosh, it's worse than the first one. Feels like it. I mean, it feels like it. Like we're starting wars now. We closed the airspace over Venezuela. I'll talk about it later. Sent super chat earlier. Hope it came through. My birthday is 12/5. Also, Tulsi. Your birthday is the same as Tulsi's? Oh, also Tulsi, stop lying. Also Tulsi, we put her in there and we thought we were getting something we're not getting. Didn't Tulsi hire Joe Kent? We thought we were getting something from him we're not getting. I'll go back and check that, Jenny. I didn't skip it on purpose. I'm supposed, as I'm scrolling, sometimes I miss them, but I certainly didn't intend to miss it. Thank you for your generous donation and your other one. And happy birthday this week. What will that make it? Saturday? Happy. Oh, man, Saturday birthdays are the best. Forget about it. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Look at Duncan Aviation locations. Duncan Aviation locations. What am I looking at them for? They're all over the place. Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas City, St. Louis, Utah, Arizona, Nevada. Yeah, I see what you're saying. The places that the planes were stopping. There's only a few full service ones, though. This one here in Lincoln is full service. Provo is full service. Battle Creek, Michigan is an FBO. It's full service. The rest of them are satellites. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I mean, I've never owned a highly technical spy plane. I don't know how often they need service. They may be totally innocent here in America, doing perfectly innocent things with absolutely no nefarious or ulterior motives. Yeah, but because they constantly lie to you, why would I believe anything they say? Lynn Maria, $2. Thank you. Norman Love, $2.22. Private planes are bringing in drugs. I do believe that a lot of drugs come in on planes. Watch The Secret Life of Timothy Corbett. Thank you for your donation. Watch The Secret Life of Timothy McVeigh from Corbett Report. Military feds use these sheep-dipped patsies like McVeigh, Oswald, and now Tyler. They'll fake convict him or self-delete him or Wipro. I don't have to watch The Secret Life of Timothy McVeigh to understand that. Did I tell you I met a guy in the witness protection program? He's probably dead by now. I can probably say this. It was 20 years ago. I was working. I don't even remember which county I was in. I'd be terrible at trying to identify him if I ever needed to. But I was working this little dinky Podunk County. I remember that. And this guy had the strangest accent for where I was in, like, I don't want to say exactly where I was because I don't want to identify the guy in any way. But he had the thickest New York accent for where, I mean, it was so out of place for where I was. And I kept asking, like, how did you end up here? Because I am a very curious person. When I interview somebody, I ask a zillion questions. If I depose somebody, I ask a zillion questions. Half of them aren't even related to the case. I'm just very curious. I just want to know more about your life. And so I'm asking this guy a million questions. And finally he was like, you ask a lot of questions. And I was like, what the hell are you doing here? And he's like, fine, I'll tell you. And he told me, like flat out told me. And he was from one of the states up in the Northeast. And he had been in the South for 30 years, 25, 30 years, hiding out. And if you knew where he worked, it would be an absolute hilarious, it'd almost be like a Seinfeld episode. It would be so good. So I know these things work. These programs, they do have these programs. Shelly Tolls, you did it twice. I don't know if you meant to do that. Next time you screw up, make it $199 and then accidentally do it twice. I kid. If something happened to Candace instead of Charlie, that would have been a problem for whoever did it. Charlie wasn't stupid and would have spoken out. It's easier to make Candace look crazy than Charlie. I don't think Candace is stupid. I don't think she's crazy either. Saw a great speech her husband gave. I saw it on YouTube this morning. I was tooling around Home Depot looking for something. And I had 20, 30 minutes. I knew I was going to be in there for a while. And because I had several things I wanted to pick up. And right as I was getting out of my truck, I was like, I need to listen to something while I was in there. So I put a headphone in. I like to keep one ear open so I can hear. I don't hear well anyway. But I put a headphone in and I tooled around Home Depot and I listened to this thing. He's a great speaker. He's great. Like, he seems really interesting. It was only 20 or 30 minutes. I was thoroughly fascinated with him by the end of it. I thought, I get it. I get why they were engaged in 18 days. He's charming. He was witty, but very serious, very smart, very sincere sounding. I can see why she fell for him, and I can see why he fell for her. I mean, she's one of a kind. Like, she's unique. You're not going to find anybody like her. No doubt about it. But because of that, because of the way she digs and because of the way she draws connections, and she's not afraid to throw stuff out there and just see what sticks. So you can make her sound crazy. I get it. 4-bar high. You're back for more. Logs not tampered. Transponder frequently disabled for spooky activities to prevent exact routes and destinations being spied on in real time. That's pretty terrifying. And if that's taking place, doesn't that kind of go against the whole "you're not doing anything wrong" narrative? Stop lying, Trump. Yeah, honestly. Are you still talking about the Epstein file? Yes, Mr. President, we are. Thank you for the donation, Zamet. I've seen you in the comments and donate several times, so thank you. You're very, very kind. Payne Revere, back for more. Does it give anyone else the ick that all these people working for a charity and who claim to be following Christ all use private jets like their public transit? They're insanely expensive. I'll be honest. I haven't said this, I don't think. I've said it privately to friends, and I've said it out loud in my own head many times. I am totally weirded out by how many private planes were involved on September 10th. And I get it. Charlie's your friend, and you want to respond quickly. But my goodness, you can't take public transport? You can't fly commercial? You gotta burn $6,000 an hour jet to come get you, to fly you, and to fly back? I mean, you're talking like $30,000 or $40,000 flights. I'll wait in line with the Southwestern plebes. Here's my ticket to Spirit Airlines. I hope I make it. Jenny, thank you. Shelly Tales. Baron, I will email you. It's Chella Michelle. That's fine. When you do, remember just to use one R or I will not get it. It'll go to some other Real Baron podcast. Real Baron podcast is one R, ma'am. Because I spell it correctly. Unlike the president who misspelled his own son's name. I feel terrible for him. Super sticker. Thank you, Monica, for NZ Bucks. Love NZ Bucks. If I ever go to NZ, I'm going to have a few of them saved up on my Google account. Mr. Magoo, the cartoon character, looks like Rob McCoy. Wiggle on. Does he? Mr. Magoo cartoon. Frankly, he does. That's kind of creepy. This is this is actually really creepy. It's like they modeled it after him. Why would they do that? He even kind of has his eyes closed like he does. Yeah, that's weird. 99 super sticker. Thank you, Sonia. Jenny, thank you again. Shelly Tails, thank you again. Birthday, I'm poor. Hey, you don't have to give me $2 for my birthday, but I do appreciate it. Now, put it to good use. I can assure you of that. You'll notice things about George because you have those qualities. Oh, you notice those things about George because you have those qualities. Happy birthday. I'm taking that as a compliment. I don't know whether you intended it that way, but thank you. Thank you for the donation, and thank you for the happy birthday wish. Caesar was stabbed 23 times, and there were 60 conspirators. And the Roman conspirators didn't have bank accounts in the Caymans or unlimited private jet travel or rode ahead from J.D. Vance. I don't think that's a benefit. But he does wear eyeliner. I kid. I'm not going to make fun of his guyliner. Monica Divine, messaging from New Zealand. Thank you. It's probably like a normal hour there. It's 10:30 here. You probably didn't know where that is, but this is all connected. We even had a visit from Cash. I read about the visit. I covered it in an episode or 2, maybe 3 ago. And yeah, I think it's. Is it all connected? Hey, Valhalla meant something. You know what it didn't mean? It wasn't a Hindu guy telling a Christian guy they were going to meet in some Norse pagan afterlife. That wasn't that. It wasn't that. So whether it was a code word to somebody in New Zealand or a code word to some military operation or a code word to people who, I don't know what it was, but it was awkward. It was weird. I don't know if he thought it would go by without us noticing, but it did not. It most certainly did not. Hey, guys, do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Like the episode. That will push it out in front of the YouTube universe. People will see it tonight. They'll see it tomorrow. Like the channel right now. Just like the episode. I'll give you a second. I'll count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you're done? So let me show you how this works. I'll pull up my own show. I'll go to my own show because this is weird. It's like I'm in the meta universe here. See, if you just go there, I just did it. If you go there and you click like, see the little thumb right there? The little thing right there? Boom, that's like. Look, dude, we're in Inception here. We're like, we're losing ourselves here. But that's it. Just click the like button. I've had 10,000 people on this thing tonight, and only 5.4 thousand of you have hit the like button? Are you trying to insult me? There's 8,000 people watching right now and only 5.4 thousand likes? How's that even possible? 27,000 people have checked in on this video, and only 5.7 thousand of you have bothered liking this? Are you kidding? What an insult. Some happy birthday I'm supposed to be having. Subscribe to the channel. That will help me. That helps YouTube think I have credibility and helps push the program out in front of other people. Same with the likes. When they see that people are liking it, then they push it out in front of other people. And then, of course, you can hit the notifications. That way, anytime I go live, you will find out. Guys, I have had a boatload of fun tonight. We are at 3.5 hours, and I still have some posts to do. So I got to work tomorrow. I hope you guys have had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. I hope you've enjoyed the program. Please don't forget, if you get any tips, realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. As you can see, I follow up on a lot of these. And you guys make the show that much better. So thank you so much. I've been talking now for 210 consecutive minutes without a break. And you'll notice I quit drinking water because I had to go to the bathroom like 90 minutes into this. So like for the last 120 minutes, I've had to pee. So I'm going to go take care of that now. Y'all have fun. I'll see you no later than Wednesday. Maybe Tuesday, but no later than Wednesday.